Dick Mitchell won't tell you no lie. We have the best Mitchell and we like it.
And we have the power. We, the citizens of Grenada, have that power. And so I repeat, take part in the political process. If you want to change the narrative of the political process, if you want to move it from being destructive and negative and in the gutter, take part. If that's not what you stand for, take part and change the narrative, change the culture, so that we can ultimately change our society.
We are created on you. Like a spice, wherever it is, we're making bless you.
On Saturday, June 3rd, Toronto, get ready as Exterminator Promotion presents the return of the annual Green and White Party. Green and White inside Topaz, 1230 Shepherd Avenue West, Toronto, featuring live your reigning Soca Monarch King, Sarah the Governor. Sarah the Governor live. And your DJs coming to shake the place. Exterminator Sound, Soul Vibe, DJ Andy, Demolition, and DJ Winton. It's Green and White at Topaz, 1230 Shepherd Avenue West. For ticket packages or more, contact 416-618-8027 or 647-879-6191. It's the return of the annual Green and White Saturday, June 3rd. Get your early bird tickets now for only $40. Sarah the Governor live. For Green and White, be there.
Grenadians and Friends of Grenada, the National Democratic Congress Support Group Canada cordially invites you to a gala event with the Prime Minister of Grenada, Carriacou and Pity Martinique, the Honorable Deacon Mitchell, Saturday, July 1st at Bellevue Manor, 8083 Jane Street in Concord, Ontario, with cocktails from 6 p.m. and dinner at 7:30, featuring live entertainment, delegation speakers, and more. Ticket donation is $250. Proceeds go to the establishment of a party resource center in Grenada. Tickets are limited. The Honorable Deacon Mitchell, Saturday, July 1st at Bellevue Manor, 8083 Jane Street in Concord. For tickets and information, please call 647-859-4142 or 647-242-9256.
Everybody, to the King, wave and sing, jumping in a band, this music so sweet, there's just nothing compared.
Well, a pleasant good night. A pleasant good night to all of us here tonight. I want to thank all of you, Delbert and my friend and comrade Lincoln Deputy. Good night, sir. Good night. How is everybody doing? You muted, Delbert, I think. Yeah. Lincoln is not muted, but no image. All right.
Good evening, comrade. Good evening.
Good evening. Well, Margaret is yet to join, and Mr. Batiste and Comrade Hudson George.
Yeah, my cousin been giving me hell all week on Facebook, so
okay.
I'm looking forward to the dialogue.
Yes. You know, and okay. Yeah, so a lot have been going on. We had 11 months and then some days into the 1 year celebration. And Lincoln is no stranger to political rambling, you know. And here say, they say, and what say, and Queen say, you know. There's a lot has been going on, a lot of batting orders, yeah, that have been changed, and bowling orders that have been changed in the political landscape of Grenada. And tonight, I want us to look into the 11 months and some days into the 1 year. I know that a lot have been said, a lot was expected, a lot has been gained, a lot has been lost for certain people. But overall, I want us to tonight to kind of bisect the last 11 and a half months, really. 11 and a half, almost half months into the NDC's reign of power and forming the new government. And if it be, at the end, probably we could look at how we could score them from 0 to 10. You know, what would we give them? Because, you know, from this platform, we have often predict and talk about things that will happen, things what probably people didn't think would happen the way it happened. And we haven't been wrong thus far. You know, having Dr. Pierre here on several occasions with his data collection and analysis of what is happening on the ground in Grenada and other parts of the world. Tonight, I think that I have a good crew, a journalist, what do you call, I think Doroka call himself a social junkie, a policy junkie, you know, and well, Margaret, a former journalist, and Hudson George is what we call a historian, yes? And then we have Mr. Michael Baptiste, who is a former minister of government and politician. And there's a lot to be said. I hope that you will look up his link and join us tonight. So tonight, I want to thank all of you, those who are here already and those who are about to come on. Thank you for making and giving up your precious family time to be with me here on Gem FM Radio. And before we start, I have 2 tickets to give away for our show tonight. The Green and White Affair. It's back at $50 for a ticket, and I have a pair of tickets to give out tonight. So any 2 person or 1 person call, you get a pair of tickets, go to the show. It starts, what time is that? 8 o'clock? Yeah. So 2 pair of tickets, call 437-980-7467 is the number to call. And don't forget, coming up on the 1st of July, the Prime Minister of Grenada would be here. And probably you might have seen the advertisement running. Yes, he will be here on the 1st of July at the Bellevue Manor in Concord. And the ticket price is $250. And that money goes towards the building of a resource center in Grenada for Grenadians. Building built by the party support groups around the world. Especially Grenada one here in Toronto is leading the charge in that. So today I had Mr. Robert Nuss here with me this afternoon, and he spoke of the building and the purpose of it. So I hope that Grenadians who tuned in would have heard, and probably a little later on, look at the live and see him and hear him speak to that as well, and why the price and so on. So tonight we'll look into the NDC, you know, and the governance for the last. There's always a saying, my good friend and comrade Rafael Paul say, one day about NDC, good governance, but not good politicking, right? Dr. Mitchell has been a better politician than a better manager of the economy. So tonight, with Toro and Delbert here so far, we'll open up and I'll probably introduce yourself. I'll go to Toro first because he was here first, you know, and we'd always ask him to comment, and sometimes he's busy, he's a very busy man. So I'm glad to have you here tonight, that to take that time off to be here with us and to share your knowledge and what you see happening, and probably give a little bit of, you know, credit, and take away some credits and give some credits, you know, and what could have been done, what you thought would have been things. So I'll let you go first and then introduce yourself and just give a little synopsis before we get into the nitty-gritty of the thing. Okay,
my name is Lincoln Toro Depredine. I've been a journalist for the last, 40 years or so. Started under the PRG, and I've continued here in Toronto. What can I say? I think I got to step carefully I don't want to get beat up because, you know, when the thing with Grenada politics, everybody love their party and the party can't do wrong, you understand? And I don't really do the party politics anymore. Like, I mean, I see a lot of things that are happening, and I don't comment on Facebook anymore on issues because some of the things I see, honestly, if the NMP was doing it, the same people who praise him would have been cussing left, right, and center. So, I mean, politics in Grenada is politics in Grenada. When you side batting, you want them to score a million runs. When the other side batting, you want them out for duck. And that's it. So I think I'll more listen tonight than comment, you know.
I like how you put that. I really love putting that. You know? I mean, everybody batting for the team to win.
Exactly. And nobody could see wrong. Like, everybody get blind. Once the team batting, big LBW. You understand? And they said, no, umpire, the man in out. Can't be LBW. The man didn't touch the ball. You understand? So I just leave it. I mean, I see a lot of things I just smile. I mean, if you notice on Facebook, I don't comment on politics anymore. I done that. That make no sense whatsoever. but the one thing I will say though is that even the government, they are doing a lot of things that are good, that could lead to a lot of development for Grenada. But honestly, I do not believe that Grenada or any country could build with 50% of the population pulling. We need a higher percentage of that, no matter how smug you feel that, well, we have a lot of talent. We have Delbert, we have all kind of people all over the world and in the diaspora, and we could build. I don't believe that. I mean, even the PRG with all the talent, had to bring in talent from outside to help us build. And we always talk about the progress we made in 4.5 years. So one of the things I'm really concerned about is, and it happened with both parties, when they're in office, they believe that their group alone could build Grenada. We don't need any help from anybody. And I don't believe that. I believe that as a small population, that we have talent from everywhere, from town, from country, NMP, NDC, GLP, non-political. And I don't, if we don't harness that talent, I don't think we could do it. We'll make like a step and stuff like that. But I believe we need to pull more of our talent together, wherever they come from. And I think whoever is in government, I mean, and this is now, I will say, if NMP or whoever takes, they need to recognize that. We need to pool our resources, pool our talent from wherever they are to build Grenada. We may think, well, we're doing a lot and we're doing it without NMP there, and forget them, NMP people, fire them and do all kind of crazy stuff. But I don't believe we cannot build by doing that. No one group has enough talent to build Grenada the way we like it to build. Not even a PRG, the best organized and PRG NGN, the best organized political group in Grenada, couldn't do it with Grenada talent base at home. If they couldn't do it, nobody else will be able to do it. That's just my contention.
You know something? That's true to power. I can't agree more. You know, we had Bernard on that show one time, and on the Tuesday morning show, and the question was asked about the PRG and people working. You say, you know something? A lot of people who didn't support the revolution, we had them in high offices because we need their service. And what we didn't have, we had to bring in from outside to enhance what we had. And that would make us do what we did in 4.5 years, because we brought in power, we brought in the resources, personal resources, people that have the skills that we need to complement those that we had, to grow and to put things in place. And we couldn't do it by just having Grenadians alone doing it. And I think that's one thing to open up the floodgate in a way to bring in talents from outside to build Grenada. I think that your point is well taken. I
mean, a good example of the PRG, I remember when the Ministry of Finance, the fire back arise, Lawrence and Wilson. Well, before I know it,
you take him back.
Bernard with all these big brains.
Call him back in.
Call back arise.
And he made that statement here. And he said that it wasn't his will.
Yeah.
They tell him, no, you can't have him because he's a Gary man. And but I had a contention. No, you have to keep the man. You know, but other powers that be voted that he should go. But when they realize that you need the man, but see, I was right. You need it, you know. And that's the thing about it, you know. And even with the flour and the sugar situation, and they say, jail them, but I said, jail them for what? Let's come to them. So he improved marketing board and he get rice and sugar and flour from somewhere else and cut the price. So they're supposed to come back. Say, jail them for what? Compete with them. He's a marketing,
Yeah.
I mean, compete with them and let them force them, let them come beg him. Afterwards to get the price, to get the sugar business, because the people that are supplying them no longer getting business. So they call him from Trinidad and say, look, whatever you get him for, we'll give you the same price or less. You know what I mean? So you starve them. You don't jail them, you starve them. So they must come begging. And that's one of the things that I think that is success of Bernard in the Ministry of Finance and Planning. He was able to technically attach himself to powers that could really help Grenada and put those who try to put other business, you know? Don't jail them, just do business with them, compete with them, and put them out of business. And that's what he did. So yeah, Bagaris had to come back, you know. I remember that. Yeah, you can't be by yourself. And even within your own structure, I mean, Baran said on the show that there's people that you need that have the resources that you need. Why are you going to put them in jail? You employ them, let it work, and pay them well. You know, so do the job. Yeah. That was good. That was good. Yeah, yeah, man. So Toro, I like that opening back. That's a great opening.
Opening bat.
Opening back.
When I'm out, I'm gonna sit in the pavilion and listen to Delbert and them and watch them bat. Yeah, we're not in reach.
I'm the other second batsman.
Yeah.
So basically, Toro, when they batting, they only want to face slow, medium pace.
Oh, yeah. I mean, somebody bowl a pace. Why didn't Bola bounce against Delbert? Why didn't Bola bounce to John? Like, okay, well, you know. I mean, it's kind of comical, eh? I mean, honestly, yes. In a way, it's comical, you know.
It is. You know, this it's kind of, well, not funny actually. It's, and I don't think it's a coincidence because this morning I just came from Grenada, spending a month in Grenada, and the first, you know, in a conversation with John this morning, we spoke about exactly what you just touched on, that I need. If I'm going to criticize the Prime Minister for one thing in this first almost 1 year of governance, is that he has not spoken out enough and forcefully about uniting our people. Because Toro, this thing about, you know, our time and we time and now is this and you guys, it is a remedy for disaster. And you really cannot, you're so correct. You don't have the talent pool, and you certainly don't have it in one political party or with one political leaning, okay? You don't have all the energies to carry out the task. So I would hope in the second year, as they move to probably announce some signature projects, and that he, in particular, he has the bully pulpit. He has to begin to speak more forcefully on that issue, because we really have to unite our people. Listen, I have this friend that I've known since kindergarten, right? I've known this guy since kindergarten. We started at Redhead School, Miss Redhead School in the villa, all right? And I have known this man all my life. We ended up we separated primary school, then ended up back in secondary school together, was in student council together, competed against each other. Our families know each other. We've always been friends. And he's a strong supporter of the NMP, all right? It has never affected my friendship with him. On my visit, he's a good buddy of mine. He's one of the first person that I reached out to and said, hey, you know, bro, I'm in town, let's get together. And someone who on the other side saw me and said, well, you still talking to that man, boy? And I'm like, and it wasn't a joke, you know. He was dead serious that I should not be talking to that man. Somebody I've known all my life, was never done anything but being a good friend to me, okay, that I should stop talking to him now because of, so that is dangerous. And I hope that that the Prime Minister speak more to it, and that he encourage even the Dr. Mitchell to speak about it too. If he wants to sort of polish his legacy, it would be advisable that he speak to those issues also, because we really can't do it. One political party can't do it. It's just not possible. It's not possible.
I mean, and like, I would give the Prime Minister, Deacon Mitchell, credit. I mean, I don't know him personally, and politically, I've never interacted with him, but I'll give him the credit just from a distance. He's a decent person.
Yeah.
But I would say the message you can take away by his silence, you could draw the conclusion and say, someone could say he's condoning whatever divisiveness. Because again, the NDC, the message on the campaign, we're going to do things different. We're going to do this. And honestly, in terms of implementing things, maybe yes, they may have, but in terms of following through on those promises about different and uniting, none of that is, I mean, you can't score them high as far as I'm concerned. You can't score them high on that, right?
No, absolutely.
Right? And so him by his silence as the leader, someone could logically conclude, well, maybe condones it. Yeah. Maybe he's not interested in national unity. And I don't see, again, how we could build a small country as Grenada without trying to unite our people, without trying to get broad national consensus on a couple of things. I mean, again, going back to the PRG, and we always like to use them as an example, and people use the superficial, right? I was telling a friend the other day, there was this guy on the Caribbean that's called Bear. Tall guy used to work in Empire. Yeah, grew up with him. Bear used to see us, all the little fellas with all this gun. All the fellas with all this gun. So I used to say, when I started calling him comrade, I said, comrade, the gun is to protect you. So I started calling him comrade. Yeah. After he had the tree and all the thing, he went looking for all of us, right? But the thing is, even those people who are gay, right, who are against the PRG and us having guns, they saw the benefit, they saw the validity in having an international airport.
Yes.
So there were certain things, again, and that part of the thing that the PRG succeeded. There are certain things related, even though they didn't articulate it, that there was broad consensus around, right? There was broad consensus that we needed an airport. Anybody who traveled and you had to go to Barbados or Trinidad, I said, boy, you can't take that thing anymore. So there was kind of broad consensus about the airport, the maternity leave, right? That kind of stuff.
Yes.
Since then, Grenada has never united around anything that they, if NNP is there and you see people causing here, nothing is good. Right?
Absolutely.
You talk to any NNP person, nothing NDC do is good. So there's no national consensus around anything. How can you be a country? I mean, even in the US, they could cause Republican and Democrats, a war start somewhere, the majority of the people behind the war.
Yes.
Right? So at least, so that's why presidents always start war when they're in trouble, because they know the country going to unite around something. So again, it's because the NDC promised a lot, both in terms of projects, both in terms of the tenor of the country, the tone, right? But in terms of the tenor and the tone, honestly, I have to score them low. And as I say, unless the Prime Minister says something, someone could logically conclude that he condones it and that kind of stuff, which is not nice. And I don't believe he's that kind of person. Maybe he's too busy taking care of things, but there's something going into the second tier that he needs to pay attention, a little bit more attention to.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I tend to agree with her. And I think one of the biggest things I was saying that we never see NNP with a major project that Grenadians really could say, well, NNP has done a major project that could be eye-opening and say, we're happy for that. And I think the thought of the preparation, the foresight, of the thinking of putting on that big hospital, right? I mean, that to me would be a very major project, right? So that must happen in the next 3 years. It must happen to leave a landmark, to leave something big and beautiful as the airport was to Grenada. That hospital must be a big project for this government to take on and have it done in record time. You know what I mean? So to leave that mass, that landmass, that big part, that Grenada say, see that? We give a state-of-the-art hospital. We don't have to fly out everybody to fly to go and get it. So staffing it and equipping it, you know, to have everything that you look for overseas, you have it here. I mean, 90% of it, 80% of it should be done here. You know, and I think that would be one of the welcoming things if the hospital really take off. So that's another thing I'll be looking forward to see happening going forward, to something that Grenada could really rally around. But again, you have Dr. Mitchell who criticized that already. You know, so again, he's not helping in criticizing that post the post.
But John, to be fair, and NDC did the same thing. There was nothing that NMP did that NMP people thought was good. So I mean, that's the other thing too. I mean, why some of the criticism is unfair? The unfair criticism has always come from opposition. And again, I always tell people that there are certain things we shouldn't play politics with. I mean, politics, 5 years, but unless we stop playing politics with certain things, and we can always be in this position. And I know the template was laid by the NGMA.
Yes.
You see hospital, we beat up Gary on that hospital thing, that healthcare thing. And I always tell people there is no country in the world where you have a perfect healthcare system.
Right.
Every healthcare system is lacking something, right? You never have a perfect. When you catch up with equipment, new equipment come out, costs go up, right? But we, and so small countries, we play politics. We beat up on whoever is in office and say, when we come, we're going to fix healthcare. You cannot fix healthcare. You could improve it, right?
Yes.
And the hospital, John, I'm telling you, I'll be the first to say, there's no way no third world country could build a hospital in 3 years, a modern hospital, equipped and recruit staff in 3 years. No way that happening.
No,
that
it's
is
not
happening. That is impossible.
I said that, I don't know, almost when that.
And I know, again, anybody listening, that's not an anti Mr. Deacon. That's not an anti-NDC. That's just reality. I live these things, and I could tell you. First, you have to up to now then identify the land. When you identify the land, you have to negotiate a price. When you negotiate the price, then you have to take the whole. Then you have to look for funding. Then you have to set out tenders for contract. Then you have to get equipment. I'm telling you, there's no way that could be built in 3 years.
Something you said too. in a previous conversation we had on this radio station, in regard to the PRG, was able to get things done. And this might be one of the problems we have in Norway again too. You know, when you PRG wanted to build the airport, they didn't have to go to Parliament to get consensus and do things. They get it done.
But John, we can't use that as an excuse anymore.
No. I'm saying is that's what with PRG, Victoria was making the point that now people you see we have to go to Parliament, you get the opposition views and you get all kind of environmentalists and so. The PRG didn't do. When they want the airport, they build the airport. Yeah,
but even in a parliamentary democracy, once you in power, you dictate the entire agenda.
Yes, you dictate it.
It really doesn't make any difference. Gary had what at one time 13.2. Yeah. When the revolution came, he was what 9.6, I think.
9.6 Alliance and
Right? but so we in that. Once you have a majority in the lower house, you run the thing like it's yours,
Right. But I think there is the question of interest group and civil societies and all this stuff on them. Like Lincoln said earlier.
Those have largely failed in Grenada.
Well, I wonder if they largely failed, but I'm saying that is
no. Let's be honest. Those NGOs and those public policy pressure groups, they have largely failed in Grenada. They have. Okay. Well, let's give them the fact that they failed. We still need to get the hospital at least get off the ground. So because even the 4.5 years PRG they didn't finish the term, but whatever happened. I think that the hospital should have been a project for your second term. And because listen, if you could raise the money for it right now, fine. But as Toro say, this is not an overnight project, right? But for me, the challenge should be in how do we improve healthcare right now on the ground for the people who can least afford it.
Right.
And to do that does not include building a new hospital. It includes some of what they are doing right now, improving the quality of care significantly in the old parishes by first improving the quality of the facilities. They have done that in St. Mark's. I know there are plans to do it in St. Patrick's. There's a really good new facility in Guelph that has not become fully operational yet. What do you do about Maribo? Do you upgrade it? Do you move it to a different area? Because I don't think the area that it is now serve the population center for St. Mark's and that kind of northeastern St. Patrick's. So these are issues that have to there should be an ongoing discussion about it. But if we could significantly improve the quality of care at the local parishes, that would show a marked improvement in how people feel about their care. And at the same time, you're doing your best to improve the quality of service at the General Hospital, because we really only have one. But to me, it is not a project for your first term. It's a project that you put the plans together in this period, and after having successfully served a first term by improving all those health infrastructure throughout the island, and some investment in repair of schools. A lot of our schools are in really, really terrible shape, and housing. These are things that we know we can do with the local capacity that we have, to build a modern hospital, a teaching hospital that would not only have a residency program, but also would attract some kind of health tourism.
Right.
This is new for us, and it has to be carefully thought through.
All right. Another thing, Delbert and Toro, the health thing is one thing here. So we see the improvement, we see the attempt to do that. You see LACO all over the place on the streets doing the health challenge stuff going on with that. I want to ask you both a question, because last week I kind of thought about that Western constituency, Northwest, and the former Prime Minister in that constituency. Do you think, given the election result and LACO's present string of activities in terms of the healthcare thing, do you think the doctor really stand a chance against him next election if he runs?
I don't know if that's a question that we could answer right now, but I'm not going to underestimate Doc's longevity in that constituency. LACRET has also good political capital in that constituency, given that the fact that he was principal of the secondary school there, right?
Appeal secondary.
Yeah. So generally, Grenadians revere our principals. We love them because at some point in time along the way, they would have impacted some knowledge, some wisdom, have helped out here, helped out there. So, he has some political capital there. And he had a better showing than anybody else in the last 20 or so years. But I think a lot more would have to be done. And I think what happens within the current sort of struggle for NNP to sort of reset itself is going to have probably greater implication for what happens in that constituency the next time around, as against us just making a sort of broad projection at this point in time.
Right. So go ahead, Lincoln.
But I think his future as a winning that will also depend on his performance as a minister, and in particular a high-profile minister in the Ministry of Health. I don't know how you will rank him after 1 year as Minister of Health. Honestly, I mean, have you been following it a little bit more? But
yeah,
I don't. I'm not sure, boy. You know what I mean? I've seen here and there, but I don't know.
I don't think he has. I don't think he has showed up at all.
Exactly. I mean, I don't want to say it again. I want nobody, but I mean, Delbert could say it. Delbert on the winning side. He's a batsman. I'm the bowler, right? But honestly, I mean, I don't. Seriously, man.
Listen. The very reason. All right. And okay, so this is not anything again but I don't really care about it. This is not anything against the current administration or anything. But I have it's a long-standing belief that I have that prime ministers should not be their own ministers of finance. And I've said it over and over again, right?
Yes, you said that.
When the cabinet was announced and the prime minister made himself minister of finance, I was a little uncomfortable with it. I was a little uneasy, but I suspect that he had his thinking is that, you know, we know the finance ministry is important in small countries. It's important in every country, but certainly in small countries like Grenada, it's really, really important because it is the engine that drives everything. So I suspected that, you know, he wanted to really know what is happening in the belly of the beast, you know, and took a deep dive in it. But the fact that within a year, the prime minister had to move himself from that important ministry to arguably another important ministry tells you that their team members were not pulling their weight.
Right, right.
And it could be, it could be that, listen, to be frank, that maybe the job is bigger than some of them. Maybe they're overwhelmed by it. You know, it's a lot nice when we're in opposition to talk a lot of smack, and then we get in there and we realize that, you know, the rhetoric or political rhetoric or promises does not match up with what the National Treasury is telling us. And you have so many people, right? So many people in the current government who has actually never run as much as a corner store before being entrusted to run a ministry with $100 million or $250 million budget. So it is a challenge, but you know, they've had a decent year. I think one of the things that the prime minister has demonstrated, because that's important very early in any new government term, and especially if you did not govern before, especially if you weren't, you know, like public policy junkies like we are, is that you have to demonstrate that you have the ability to do it. And I think that he has done unequivocally.
Yeah, you know, and one thing we're talking about analyzing the last year, we see a lot of things have been done, a lot of promises have been made, and a lot of have been kept. And you find that a lot of people was happy. And as Dr. Pierre in his report suggested, that shows that people have been more trusting in Dickon Mitchell as a prime minister and over Dr. Kit Mitchell based on the report. And one of the trust factor was that he would pay off the pension, right? And we see in the first 6 months, within the first 6 months, that was done. That was organized, set up to be done. The teachers getting the money. How do you score them in terms of fulfilling most of what they have promised to do so far? How you look at that? What would you say to that? Any one of you? Delbert, Toro.
That's for me?
Any one of you?
Okay, so the paying the teachers the doc salaries, that was a good political gesture. Right. He built political capital from doing that. It was an easy promise to keep. It was not a lot of money. I think it was what, $3-4 million, somewhere in that range. I'm well on record as saying that paying the pension, I'm all about paying the pension. I just don't think it should have been done the way that it was done, that one lump sum payment. I thought that it should have been paid out over a period of 6 to 9 months, that you would have every month a sort of stimulus into the economy, because it appears, right, that the lump sum payments, the people who receive the lump sum payments are all mostly retirees, okay? So they would have already built their house, you know, probably completed their mortgage. Basically what they're spending now is on their health care and helping out their grandchildren. So that money, it appears, was just sort of banked, you know, it was sort of just dumped in bank accounts, and it's not really doing anything. It's not really, you know, turning in the economy to generate when you think about the amount of money that was spent, was put into it, you're not seeing the returns on the ground. Somebody joked that most of it went to Japan with so many people in that group importing new cars, or so you have to an ongoing sort of 9-month stimulus package would have been my preference. But they made a political promise, and the Prime Minister made a decision to honor his thing, and we can that decision is made, and moving forward. I think the more important decision was the one to do the bi-weekly or bi-monthly, as some people say, payments. I think that is going to have, of course, there's going to be a period of people understanding and sort of rearranging how they pay their bills and manage their finances or so. But generally, that has, that creates some additional economic activity throughout the month and keeps people sort of going and so forth. So let's see how that one plays out.
Yeah. In terms of the pension, I don't think those are good political moves, as Delbert say. All right, but I don't think the issue with the pension was making an initial payment. So I think the NDC is back where the NMP would have been. Going forward, how do you pay pension? And that's where we are still, back where we are. The initial payment wasn't a problem. I mean, to be fair, you could always pay off whoever was the first set of people to get pension. The issue then, now and going forward, is how do you sustain a pension plan that is non-contributory? And that is where, and the NDC say, well, we're working on it, kind of stuff. So we still back, how do we sustain this pension plan? Again, it was a good political move that the government say we'll pay pension, and in some people's mind, pension is like one thing you pay. It's not so, right? And not everybody getting pension, but give them credit that they paid whatever pension was supposed to be paid initially, bi-monthly, bi-weekly, however you want to call it. But the problem again, we go back, no matter how we spin it, the systemic issues, whether it has to do with health, finance, has to be fixed. Some long-term solution has to be found, because we keep changing government unless we be upfront with the people of Grenada and tell them, for example, listen, we could improve the healthcare system. We can't fix it totally and thing it. Rather than promising them, okay, we'll come in power, we'll fix healthcare and we'll be good forever. We'll pay pension and everybody believe, well, pensioners. Or we'll hire every nurse full time.
No mechanism right now to fund a long-term pension.
Right. So what I mean, we'll keep going through cycles unless all the politicians on all sides cannot try and be a little honest with the Grenadians and educate them, because education is important. A lot of Grenadians believe that, okay, government could do everything. So they want, and they want to pay taxes. We want better roads, better schools. We want technical center. We want a first-class hospital. We want pension. And nobody's telling them, listen, this has to be funded somewhere, And okay, we want foreign investors too much because they go take our heritage and buy it, right? And we go sell out. So we telling them, well, how these things are being paid for. So everybody really wants to elect the government. They have to do all that thing. We care about where money coming from. I think we had to spend a little time on the education part, on the national unity. I know government's busy and the election cycle is frequent. This government only have about maybe a year and a half, 2 years to act as a national government. After that, they have to start campaigning to try to get reelected. Because if they get reelected, the thing we talked about earlier, where people getting bashed and thing, if the problem is that they lose, it's trouble for their supporters. They're going to. That cycle has to stop. It's not good. It is not good.
I have. You talk about politicians being honest, and what I would say is that prove your honesty to me by going into Parliament and putting legislation in place that personally holds political leaders accountable for victimization of workers. Hold them personally accountable so that you know if you're culpable and it's happening under your watch, you're the one giving the direction of the others to unceremoniously, for political or other reasons, fire people or demote them, or that you would be held personally responsible for that. Only when you pass this kind of legislation, then I'm going to begin to take you seriously.
Right. Well, before we bring in Hudson George, he's here with us, who promised us he will never talk about the about the NDC until 1 year. So we almost 1 year. I know you said, John, it's too early, not 1 year yet. We have some weeks to go, but we're gonna do the pre-1 year, 11 months and some days before. All right, we can put the report card together, Hudson. So before we do that, I want to play this one song and I'll come out to commercials and I'll come back. All right. So Hudson George, if you better introduce yourself when we come back.
The question we have to ask ourselves is, do we want a society that we plan, that we set goals and work towards achieving them? Or do we want a society where we get up and say, whatever happens, happens? That is ultimately the test that we must pass. A society does not improve by chance. We don't become wealthy by chance.
We have the best picture and we like it. Young, intelligent, full of vibes. The best picture and we like it. Deacon Mitchell won't tell you no lie. We have the best picture and we like it. Young, intelligent, full of vibes. The best picture and we like it. Deacon Mitchell won't tell you no lies. Oh gosh, Deacon intelligent, wow, he's so magnificent. Oh gosh, the people he represent, yes, and he will not relent. Oh gosh, the country about heart, not an opinion, that is a fact. With Deacon, the future real bright. Go vote, go vote, go vote, go vote. We vote in the heart, the heart, the heart, the heart. Go vote, go vote, go vote, go vote. All right. Stick it right by the heart. We have the best picture and we like it. Young, intelligent, full of vibes. The best picture and we like it. Deacon Mitchell won't tell you no lie. We have the best picture and we like it. Young, intelligent, full of vibes. The best picture and we like it. Deacon Mitchell won't tell you no lies. Voting Deacon for Prime Minister, oh, for a prosperous Grenada. Let's travel this path together, oh. With Deacon on our side, the future real bright. Go vote, go vote, go vote, go vote. We vote in the heart, the heart, the heart, the heart. Go vote, go vote, go vote, go vote. All right, stick it right by the heart. We have the best picture and we like it. Young, intelligent, full of vibes. The best picture and we like it. Deacon Mitchell won't tell you no lie. We have the best picture and we like it. Young, intelligent, full of vibes. The best picture and we like it. Deacon Mitchell won't tell you no lies. We have a charismatic young leader. Carving a bright future is the mantra. Our sweet country going through well. The captain to steady ship is Deacon Mitchell. Go vote, go vote, go vote, go vote. We vote in the heart, the heart, the heart, the heart. Go vote, go vote, go vote, go vote. All right, stick it right by the heart. We have the best picture and we like it. Young, intelligent, full of vibes. The best picture and we like it. Deacon Mitchell won't tell you no lie. We have the best picture and we like it.
And we have the power. We, the citizens of Grenada, have that power. And so I repeat, take part in the political process. If you want to change the narrative of the political process, if you want to move it from being destructive and negative and in the gutter, take part. If that's not what you stand for, take back and change the narrative, change the culture, so that we can ultimately change our society.
Friends of Grenada, the National Democratic Congress Support Group Canada cordially invites you to a gala event with the Prime Minister of Grenada, Carriacou and Petite Martinique, the Honorable Deacon Mitchell, Saturday, July 1st at Bellevue Manor, 8083 Jane Street in Concord, Ontario, with cocktails from 6 p.m. and dinner at 7:30, featuring live entertainment, delegation speakers, and more. Ticket donation is $250. Proceeds go to the establishment of a party resource center in Grenada. Tickets are limited. The Honorable Deacon Mitchell, Saturday, July 1st at Bellevue Manor, 8083 Jane Street in Concord. For tickets and information, please call 647-859-4142 or 647-242-9256.
On Saturday, June 3rd, Toronto, get ready as Exterminator Promotion presents the return of the annual Green and White Party. Green and White inside Topaz, 1230 Shepherd Avenue West, Toronto, featuring live your reigning Soca Mona King, Sarah the Governor. Sarah the Governor, live. And your DJs coming to shake the place. Exterminator Sound, Soul Vibe, DJ Andy, Demolition, and DJ Winston. It's Green and White at Topaz, 1230 Shepherd Avenue West. For ticket packages or more, contact 416-618-8027 or 647-879-6191. It's the return of the annual Green and White, Saturday, June 3rd. Get your early bird tickets now for only $40. Sarah the Governor live. For Green and White, be there.
We are Grenadians, are you? Land of spice, where everything dies. Grenadians, may God bless you.
Yes, we're back, and I'm a pleasant good night again, and welcome to Hudson George. Brother George, how you doing?
Yeah, man, I did taking it easy, watching all.
Welcome tonight. Welcome to you tonight. Back to the live session here tonight. And we said you made a promise that we never talk about NDC until they reach 1 year or so, right? Well, it's almost 1 year, 11 months, and then some days between that. So we're really in the threshold of 1 year. All right. So what we're trying to analyze, I give a report card, and you know what we thought. What your thoughts are on the last 11 and a half months in office of the NDC government? I know you've been seeing a number of stuff on watching you on your page, and a number of people have made a lot of remarks. A lot of stuff have been said, and a lot of things have been done. Some dislikes, some likes, and we spoke of a little bit here, there, but and to myself. Now your turn. You know, what your thoughts are on the present state of the government for the last 11 and a half months?
Well, at least as I tell you, June 23rd is supposed to be a year. It's not a year yet. You sentenced me to hang. You can't hang me before my death. I told you that already. Anyway, only the last month or so, 2 months, I see political things happening. And even in Toronto too, because I was listening to your program today. I didn't know if you have little infighting in the NDC chapter here too. I don't want to get myself involved in that. I find, if I'm correct, one of the person in the chapter is a cousin of mine, the lady. And she married to a cousin, is that?
Yes.
I kind of figure out why, but I don't want to get into it. You had people come from NNP into the NDC and perhaps chapter, and perhaps they lead in the chapter, so it could be that case. I don't know. But anyway, I'm not involved in politics, as I say. I was just be on the observe watching NNP and NDC are fraternal twins.
Okay.
Political fraternal twin. They're not identical in the sense of each of them have the logos green or the same logos yellow, but the behavior is similar. For example, when I ask strong NDCs, what do you think about the government continuation of CBI? They can't answer me. I get beat, I get blows for saying CBI is not a bad thing. Oh, I have a good journalist friend from another country, very educated person, and he was telling me from another Caribbean country, and he was telling me CBI is not a bad thing. I sit down and I listen, I just listen. That was years now. So I was never anti-CBI, right? Now, if you ask real diehard or diehard NDC about CBI, like they don't hear or they don't want to answer, they get mute. In terms of government, they say transformation. And there was a thing is young people time, but I don't think you could. Politics is not young and old in Grenada. And politics is politics. Once you breathe in and you have the breath of life in you, and you're relevant to some extent, because for the last week I was listening the Bob report, and I listened to Junior, he picked it up after from the Bob, and they interview some farmer and the politician, MPs, on the Bob report. And perhaps if Delma didn't cross the floor, maybe they wouldn't invite those people, because but what was lacking is young people don't know the young people nowadays, both NDC and NNP people, they don't know Grenada political history. So the topic they had to go to the archive. The archive is the people that were not getting attention politically. You will see people like Ali Gill in the media was talking politics and all kind of things. Ali Gill don't even reach a good 50 years. Why is you have people archive in culture, in politics? If you want to educate people, you have to go back to the old. They go to dig up Arlene Walker, well, Michael Battis and Kenny Lalsing around. Kenny is a businessman. He was an MP. He never shown away from politics. He have interest in politics. Walker, they pull him out from the archive, and Battis still around, he promoting golf and he active. They know about government. So those program was good. The Bob program last week was a good program. I guess he learned from it too, because he's a young person. And Junior also learned from Lal Singh too. So as for Delma crossing the floor now, I don't want to speculate from St. Patrick, Del, but I understand Del. Somebody told me where Delma's husband from. Delma's husband born close to Kenny's mother and grandmother's place. That's where Kenny was born. Mm. See, I the only real journalist on the ground, you know. So covering Toronto news, I correcting Grenada news.
Hudson.
Now, let me continue.
Yeah.
Delbert, I don't know if you should know. Right with Kenny Lal Singh Banner, we just say Ben Nikana. Coming by the past, if you come into Hermitage from Shanti, you're going to, when you hear Ben Nikana, right on the Ben Nikana, Kenny, there was a man who used to live there called Bogart. Right on the corner, right where Kenny come out there. And then after you come up, you take Mitapi, them Francois, the Adventist church. Before you, as you hit the Ben Nikana, they on top the hill had some Douglas people on top there. and the Morin and them. I think Delma husband could be a Quata Douglas, based on my information. Yeah. And Kenny come out right by there. Kenny mother is not Indian. His mother is black. I know the grandmother, you remember seeing them people there. Mother black and her children a little bit light skinned, but I don't think that they're not Indian. You get the Indian by the father's side. So I don't know what is the relation there. You know, I just live on the ground. So that is one thing perhaps Delma Mosey had known Kenny long before, and also maybe her husband know Kenny. I don't know. It's just what I'm not saying I'm correct, but kind of gather a little thing there.
Right.
So Delma crossing the flow. That's not new in Grenada politics.
Oh, before we get to Delma crossing the flow, let us look at before Delma. There's a lot of things happened before Delma. We'll come to Delma later on, because a lot to be said about Delma crossing the flow. What do you say to the truth to power as the NDC being in power for the last 11 months? What their achievements have been, what they have accomplished thus far? How do you analyze it as someone who is, like you say, on the ground? How do you look at the achievements and the promises that was kept, and given the present state of affairs in Grenada, how do you look at evaluate them right now? What's your present state of affairs with that?
Well, they say transformation is a slogan. You guys say forward ever, backward ever. So when all you chase people like us from the railroad, I didn't look back for us, so all you forwarding? Yeah, all you were forwarding, right? So backward never. we became
Hudson, stop your hurting from the last 40 years.
So anyway,
let us go ahead.
We call waste management. I'll just trust in waste management. So anyway, I just giving you a little tap. The government again. On Facebook, I listen to Brian BJ. What is his name? BJ Joseph. As an intelligent mind, I find sometimes the kind of criticism he does be making doesn't make sense. When you tell him that he might carry a surrogate of the government. When a new government takes place, sometimes there are jobs in Grenada that is not permanent. Some people get their political jobs. As I tell you, politics, if you do political science, politics is people of interest. You have partisan, you have nepotism in every government. You have who that's government. And sometimes government make move in ministries for security reasons, I see the commissioner of police leave, the chief, or you call him, I don't know how he leave. He said he wasn't fired based on how he said he leave voluntary. I don't know, and government after government does do that. That's what they do. I mean, so these are things I can't really criticize and say he's wrong or if he's right, because that's the culture of Grenada politics. And in terms of, I think the NNP has to get new political activists.
But do you think that the NDC in its 9 months, 11 months of power have lived up to the expectation of the Grenadian people thus far?
Well, I'm not in Grenada, but so far I don't hear a lot of young people complaining, so I can't really say. You see, it could be there is a talk on the ground is young people time, so I don't know what is it they enjoying. And you see what happened in Grenada. When I watch how Grenada election ended, I look at, once I was watching a wildlife program, and 2 impala was fighting, 2 male impala. They were fighting for women in the African savannah. It was mating time, and they hand lock, right? And when they hand lock, a leopard sees the opportunity and he grab one. So why is NNP and NDC were arguing with each other, and NNP had 15 seats and they thought they did forever? Well, a young fella come and he take over the party, and he come like that leopard would just come and grab the one in the Impala and take it and go and eat. So what happened now? We in that state of politics where we have a political leader we never expected. And this is Grenada politics. You don't know who is going to be the next political leader of Grenada in the future. A lot of people evolve in politics what past some people didn't expect them. We don't know what is going to happen today, tomorrow. And then when we look at as I said, the two Mitchell, the politics are not much different.
But Hudson, you're ducking the question, man.
Well, the question is, okay, Claudette Joseph say on the POP program on certain policies of the NNP.
Who said that?
Claudette Joseph.
Okay.
They asked her on the BOP program once about certain policies continuation of by the NDC that was NNP programs and NNP policies that was criticized. She said government is a continuation. Which,
of course.
Right.
Of course.
So and she put it so short. She made a lot of sense. So that is why I was not talking. What I'm saying, both Mitchell have a lot in common in terms of governing the country.
I don't see how.
Wait, well, let me done. You will come in now in terms of the government get a lot of money from the former government. So they keep promising in terms of paying off the civil servants, public workers. They did it.
Hudson, when you say the government get a lot of money from the former government, what does that really mean?
Well, there was government money in the treasury. So that means the previous government could have paid too.
Okay, so
let me complete.
Hudson, that's not how
you're asking me what I observe over the time.
Hudson,
so
that's not
explain.
Okay, but that's not how government works.
Well, I don't win the question John asking me is not how government works. It's what I observe for the year. And
no, I thought you were going to give an assessment.
Well, the assessment on the government.
Yes.
Well, that's part of certain promises in terms of public service. They pay the money, and it so happened there was money in the treasury, so they get money and they pay the civil servant. So it could be one of the things.
Was there not supposed to be money in the treasury?
You see again, you going.
I'm asking a question.
I'm keeping to
the
1 year. I keep into the 1 year.
But here's what I'm saying, Hudson.
No, you're twisting the talk.
No, I'm not missing the point. I want you to drill down a little bit more on the topic, because I hear this term a lot, and whenever I hear it, it kind of annoys me when they say, oh, the new government met the treasury so-called pregnant with money.
Well, I didn't use the term pregnant.
Well, no, I'm using it. That's okay. There's no small country anywhere in the world, okay, and certainly not in the Eastern Caribbean, any national treasury that's sitting on a pile of money. That's not how it works.
That is a different discussion. John asked me what I was over about the year. So I said,
no, he asked you for an assessment, and I think you still.
That is the assessment.
That is not an assessment.
That's the promise to pay. They found money internally in the government, and they pay. So
okay, so how
that's a plus for them.
Okay, so let me ask the question in a different way. How do you assess? How would you sort of quantify the decision to do the payments the way it was done at the point in time that it was done?
Because it was overdue.
No. Hudson, you're missing the point.
If the if you campaign on you're going to pay something.
Okay, fine.
It was paid.
We agree on that. We agree
Right.
on that.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, how do you assess the decision to make the payment in the manner it was done and at the time that it was done? Do you think it was a good decision? Do you think it was a prudent decision? Do you think economically it was a smart decision? Or do you think it was based primarily on politics?
Politics, politically, and it was a political promise.
Okay, yeah, but you could make political promises when you're governing. You know, there's a famous talk about that what they say, politician campaign in poetry, and you have to govern in prose, right? Because a lot of times when you get into office, you find out that the conditions on the ground are a lot more, the conditions in there are a lot more difficult than you anticipated. So what I'm still looking for, I agree, you say it was a political decision, fine, but how do you assess it overall? Because sometimes good politics makes good policy, and sometimes good politics does not always equal to good policy. So how do you, outside of the political sphere, how do you assess that decision in terms of where the country, the direction in which the country should be headed?
Well, it's up to the government to create new policies over the year. If you're in opposition and you say you're going to fix certain things that was need to be done by your opponent and they didn't do it, and you do it, okay, you turn the page. You fall into an next page.
So let me put you on the spot a little bit.
So
let me put you on the spot a little bit. Since we kind of understand numbers, right? We understand A, B, C, D, or whatever. We understand 1 through to 10, right? Those are sort of accepted norms that we can deal with. So overall, 11 months and 2 weeks into the first year, where would you grade them? Whether you want to use the A, B, C, or D method, or you want to use the 1 to 5 or the 1 to 10, pick your choice.
I can grade them as a failure, and I cannot grade them as they survived the year. I can't grade them and say, like Pro and NDC might say, oh, they did 100% good. I cannot say that.
Okay.
All I'm saying is that
so you
for
could,
1 year,
you could
things they campaign on.
Yeah, but Hudson, you could survive the year with a rope around your neck, all right, fighting for life,
Well,
and you could hold on, and you could survive the year, swimming comfortably on Granada's Beach.
I don't think the government is in that state yet. It's too early for that state.
I'm trying to get you to quantify it.
I don't really quantify nothing. All I'm just saying, I'm looking at how between the two regimes, there are a lot of similarities, and internally, externally, in terms of foreign policies, they are the same, finding money from outside.
Grenada has no foreign policy.
What do you mean?
Grenada has no foreign policy.
What do you mean?
We don't.
What you don't? What you want them to have? You want them to be like South Africa in the Cold War?
No. I wish we had one, but we don't.
But we're not in this. We have a foreign policy.
What is it?
For example, okay, let me break it into a next little. When a lion make a kill, the hyena try to steal the kill. The jackal never try to steal the hyena's kill. He wait for scraps.
Okay.
Right? Countries like Grenada, we can, if we go around and behave like hyena, we go end up like the PRG. So we can take out
I don't understand that sort of drift down memory lane.
Cannot fight with lions.
The PRG actually had a foreign policy.
But that is what I'm telling you. We don't need to be having foreign policies and we get in with self-tangle up with Russia and America and that kind of thing.
But Hudson, that's what I said in the
we
beginning.
We must not be in these things.
But Hudson, that's what I said in the beginning.
When a jackal never tried to steal a lion,
Hudson, Hudson, but that's what I said in the beginning.
The old Mitchell and the new Mitchell got a lot in common.
So let's move on a little bit.
Yes.
Let's move on. Yes. You said that you see a lot of similarities.
Yes.
In the both Mitchell.
Yes.
Could you point out two of those that you think are most noticeable?
CBI is one. Going out getting money from countries that not traditional, which most in some NDC supporters, when NNP are getting money from certain places, or they see certain people come to Grenada to do business.
But Hudson, every Grenadian
let me complete now, man.
No, but every Grenadian prime minister has done that.
Well, we're dealing with the immediate. One is opposition and one is prime minister.
No, but
so what I'm trying to say is
I don't see the continuation.
We don't have to go back to orders again. What I'm saying, they are the men of actions.
Okay, so let me ask the question. I'm just asking. I'm asking the question. I don't see how the continuation of CBI could be viewed as some kind of similar political trait.
Well, I don't want to lie. Mr. Man, I doesn't say things for nobody to sue me. That's why I'm on Facebook long. A lot of people think I was stupid. They will catch me with those things. I remember about 4 months, 3-4 months ago, there was some media report that the new government make over $300,000, $300 million in selling of citizenship.
In the first year of operation.
Well, we don't have a year yet, so I say months.
Well, that would have been in the first 6 months.
Are you cross-examining me on?
No, we having a conversation.
Right, I said already. Right?
So Hudson, when the Prime Minister laid out his budget, there was a certain projection within the budget as to how much money they intended to raise through the CBI program. So that there's no secret days, you know.
I never say secret, and I never say it's illegal.
So no, I did not suggest that either. What I'm saying is,
if you keep to my thesis or my premise, I said both leaders have a lot in common in the way they operate politically.
And I'm asking you to point it out because I don't
point it out. You still ducking me around.
No, Hudson, you can't use CBI as a similar characteristic between them.
Well, who brought CBI who brought CBI to Grenada? You cross-examine. How CBI, which is the first government brought CBI to Grenada?
I can't answer that question.
Oh, you can answer, but you asked me about 1,000 questions already.
No, but if I can't answer, I can't answer. I'm not going to.
Okay.
I'm not just
what year CBI started in Grenada?
I can't answer that either.
All right. Well, okay. I was just trying to say
Hudson,
over the year.
Hudson,
the two governments. I'm not putting down.
Hold on.
That is not a similarity. That is not a similarity.
How you mean it's not a similarity?
It's
continuation. Two different people. It's a continuation there. In terms of these NN people saying they've been victimized in the last 10 years of Kit Mitchell regime. NDC people were saying that they're victimized. So
so let me ask you this other question, and then
it's just the political culture of the country.
Okay, so let me ask you this question, and then I'll let John and Toro chime in. I think you're confusing.
No, I'm not confusing.
Let me ask the question. I think you're confusing economic models, all right, with governing styles and philosophy.
Well, economic model come with governing style.
Not always.
You cannot separate it.
Of course you can separate.
Or you're going to separate it. The governing
Because,
style and economic model is the same.
Because your governing style, your governing
revenue.
Let me respond. Your governing style could be purely based on your personal philosophy, okay? While an economic model for governing has to be based on a lot of data and where your country wait, let me finish. And where your country is at that point in time and where you're trying to do.
There's no personal philosophy in what's going on there. There is no personal philosophy in that going on. It's only when, if you have a prime minister and he does everything without consulting parliament, that is when you have personal philosophy coming. And when you
that's not true.
State,
you could consult parliament. You could consult parliament and still have your personal philosophy.
Well, then you're not listening to parliament. And
but Hudson, that's not the same thing. Everybody, every political leader comes to office with a political philosophy.
Well, every political leader are not clone to a previous one.
I never suggested
your brother
that.
Not clone. But what I'm looking at the government administration externally, internally, the same political.
And that's why I say you're confusing two different things.
I don't see any difference.
All right. That's why I said you are confusing two different things.
No, not confusing.
You are confusing economic model.
So far,
leadership model.
NNP and NDC, I don't see no difference.
Okay.
That's a weak argument, Hudson.
No, I don't see no difference in anything.
Okay.
The only difference is the NDC pay off what the NNP refused to pay. That's the only thing I see.
Okay. All right. So I'm back. Thank you very much for holding in there for me for a bit while I went and get myself fixed up. But I'm back, and I want to still, before Hudson disappear on us, with the next question here. I know there's a lot of people in the chat here talking too, right?
Can I just say, before you move on, I just want to say one thing.
Yes.
I was enjoying the conversation between these two St. Patrick fellas, you understand? And I know I'm from the Wharf, so I kind of was trying to referee, but my whistle wasn't going.
Right?
Yeah, my whistle wasn't going. I was trying to referee, right?
Okay.
I'm not speaking for Hudson. Hudson can speak for himself, but I think my interpretation is that the issue we have is that, listen, Grenada has a small economy, and the economy is circumspect by certain things. There's not. No matter which government comes, they have a deck of cards to play with. So there's not much you could do. So one government will do the same thing another government has done, right? Yeah. So no matter what fancy talk you get about they're going to do that when they reach in there, the economy will be big as this. You might just expand a little bit. I mean, so when you hear IMF and them talk about 2% growth and 3%, that mean nothing, honestly.
Absolutely nothing.
Right.
Absolutely nothing.
So whichever government from Gary come right now, is the same economy you're dealing with. You might get a little increase there, a little increase there, you might go down and stuff. So that basically they have to do the same thing, right?
Yeah.
It's how creative they are in what they do it, right? So whether they go externally to find money or internally.
Yeah.
And you ask the question about CBI, I will tell you this, Hudson. CBI started with Uncle Gary. Clancy, SGU, it was the medical school at the time, that was CBI program. The people came in, they invested and they got citizenship. Gary didn't call it that. So a lot of things we do it now, Uncle Gary started it.
Well, I try to tell them Gary is the genesis.
CBI started with Gary. All them Syrian that came in and do all this stuff, and and set up thing, that was CBI program. All the people that fled from Syria. So don't feel all the right and all the cause Gary and all the things that will be a man. Gary was ahead of us, you understand?
Toro, they gave it a fancy name, right?
Yeah, they give it a fancy name. Gary was doing that.
How would you on that one?
Gary was doing that long. All Clancy and all the men. The thing, you understand? For CPI program. So don't feel all the bright and all the show with Gary and this and Gary thing. Gary was like, look, Gary talking UFO. Now they give UFO a fancy name. The US government studying it and they do not kind of thing. He said, laugh. Gary was talking about UFO. All they better dig up Uncle Gary body and make him a national hero. You understand?
Toro, that's like when Gary said them university boys came back and they were
Yeah. He said hot and sweaty with a university degree. And the feel Gary know nothing. You understand? But anyway, I just want to join that before we move to the next topic. Before Hudson start batting again, he's on a century now. And I know he had the front of a century.
No. I'm gonna try to interrogate me.
No,
I have to defend myself.
Well, yeah, you have to defend your point.
Yeah, because the point I'm making. Okay, I'm going to just close up in about a couple words.
Okay. I think you're capable of doing that.
Yeah. Brevity is not our strength.
No.
NNP and the NDC are two political parties, one of the same political woman.
Okay.
They're not identical.
Okay.
They're photonal.
But okay.
And if a third party don't come and move them, one didn't go down, they will both have a base. We will be discussing them. You will have people crossing floor, going here, there. When a new prime minister come, he might do something what the other one didn't do, what is positive. They both go to negative things too. But this last election should make both political party supporters, the base support, come to the understanding that government changes when swing voters do it. Swingers.
But that's not a Grenadian phenomenon. That's a worldwide phenomenon.
I never say it's a Grenadian phenomenon. All I'm saying is the way we behave, because you have NNP people who still cannot wake up to know that they lost the election.
Yeah, that happens on both sides.
So it is time we have to come to understand that swingers or swing voters are the ones who change government. It's not base support. And we will continue on that path with NDC.
But you cannot. But Hudson,
we cannot have what we call a party.
But Hudson, you cannot win.
Canada is too small for that.
But you cannot win without your base support, though.
Well, if you don't have a base, you cannot have a political party.
Exactly.
What I'm saying to you is that what you have to look at is protect your base so that swingers won't move you. Swingers is like nowadays, they tell you when you build a house in Grenada.
Well, actually, Hudson, that would be a remedy for
when
losing.
you build a house in Grenada, you build a house, you have to bolt down your roof. So when hurricane come, hurricane is election. If your house didn't bolt down, your roof is gonna go.
Okay. Point taken, Hudson. But before you go, one thing I still wanted to get one. I want to answer this question, and there's no sentence to that. There's no big story behind that. I don't want no analysis. Go to Africa and come back and give me analysis to make up your point. I want to ask you this one question. Given the last 11 months, right? How in a station from 1 to 5, 5 being the highest. How would you? And listen to me. I want a number. I don't want a story. I don't want a story.
I tried that.
If you say give me a story, I shut me down on him. I want a story. I want you to say 3, 2, 4, or 5. 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Give me a number. If you got to grade this government in the last 11 months, what grade would you give them from 0 to 5?
I give them a pass.
This is not what I ask you.
Well, I give them a pass.
No, that number.
Yeah, but Hudson, Hudson 60, 65 might be a pass. 85 is also a pass. There's a big difference.
So give me a number.
I give
From
them
0 to
a-
5.
I give them a B minus.
We didn't ask you.
A B minus.
No, that's a grade. That's a grade.
Yeah.
Hold on.
B minus or B plus. Between a B minus or B plus.
I don't do dodgy ball here. Ask you a straight question. 1 to 5. Give me
1
the
to
number.
5,
Yeah, but a B minus would be like a 4.
Yeah, but that's still what I'm asking for.
No. Yeah, well done.
This is okay. So, Cuts and Dodge. Oh God. All right.
Hudson is holding back on us tonight. He's holding back.
I'm holding back. I'm watching the political situation in Grenada. And
but why are you afraid to make assessment as we go along?
You know, I think you have something to do.
You know something? I'm making an assessment, but I'm still watching. When we come back on June 24th,
I think Hudson might be in the running for the new NMP political leader.
I think it was with GLP.
NMP have to rebuild its party.
Yes, of course.
Definitely rebuild. But we'll come that.
That's our next step.
We'll jump in that right now. Right. So given the present situation with the NDC and what the policies and what they have done and promises that was kept and moving forward, and it seems as though like Terrell was saying earlier on, you can't build it on 50% of the population, and you gotta get everybody pulling together, and the Prime Minister have to do that job of getting and cultivating the mindset that we are one Grenadians, pulling Grenada together and lifting it up, right? Given the present situation that as we face right now in Grenada as a new leadership, a new sort of a line of march, so to speak, right? As we move forward, given what was done in what happened in the last 9 months, 12, 11 months going forward, how do we analyze predict what will happen, political assumptions? You know, what would you see happening in the next year of the government? I'll go Toro first. What do you think the next line of march should be to sustain that momentum that they have going? Because right now there's a real big momentum going on in the ground in Grenada with people and so on, the young people and stuff like that. How do you maintain that going forward? Toro.
The government momentum. I think that the government is holding strong with its supporters, and parties in government generally hold strong with the supporters. The challenge will be because again, as Hudson said about independence voters, right? NDC won the last election because a lot of people who traditionally voted for NMP either didn't vote or they took a chance on voting for NDC, right?
Yeah, that happened.
So here's what the challenge is, right? Again, I would just my own casual observation, the NDC base is happy, right? You hear reports, you don't know how factual, you don't know how genuine they are, but you're hearing about, for example, in Carriacou, people getting dismissed summarily, unfairly. You're hearing people grumbling. You always hear grumbling, whichever is government. So whether that grumbling is genuine, whether there's a ground, so we don't know. We can't think. But the bottom line is that the government has started well, especially in terms of consolidating its base. But going into the next election in the next 2 years, a lot will be determined on whether those people who are not happy remain unhappy, and how large a group that is unhappy. And also whether the new voters have buying to whatever this government is selling, right? They cannot, no party, I think, except maybe the NMP, because NMP base was so large, they were winning it, and then NDC base was so disillusioned, they weren't voting. So NMP was winning, and that's why they were winning 15-0. So the NMP, the NDC traditional base, unless that base has grown significantly, they cannot count on the NMP people who voted for them the last time, voting for them again. They cannot depend on that. So what they need to do going into the next election, I mean, people could feel smug that we win and we could win again because we are the best Michelle. Politics don't work that way. No. So as I said, they have started well, they're on a good trajectory as far as their support is concerned, as far as the base is concerned, right? The challenge for them is to find out whether those people who say they're unhappy, if they are really unhappy, and how large that group of people are. And also new voters, what do they want? New voters who are observing, who didn't vote, and they see what's happening now. Do they like the trajectory this government is on? And how are they going to vote? So I'm not so concerned about the base, as I said, of the NDC going forward. They have done some good things, that especially base and many Grenadians who voted for them. But the people who complaining that they're unhappy, who complaining that they were just dismissed because they're NMP or the suspect they're NMP, you have to be careful with people like that. Because remember, against Grenada, you touch Hudson, it's not just Hudson. The George family large. So it's like 50 of them voting, and all of them get vexed. And then you have a place like Carriacou, and you hear people complaining and say this person gets sent home. They're even smaller than things. So when you send home one person, like 100 people. So these are things that need, and as before I came on, Hudson, Delbert and I were saying that one of the things the Prime Minister needs to do is to pay a little more attention to bringing people together, the unity message, and not just depend, well, he'll survive and the NDC will survive in the echo chamber by everybody that's surrounding him, tell him, boss, you're doing well, we're doing well, everything is well, the animal is grazing and water is flowing in the pipe, and everything is good and thing. Because that's what people around you tell the leaders. Yeah. Everything is honky donkey. You understand? And you're in an echo chamber. You understand? And worship the leader and things like that. So he's a bright fella. You need to kind of come outside the box, listen to fellas like Delbert, who may give him a more objective view of what's happening. Listen to Hudson. Take the good part from Hudson, forget the rest when he complains about the PRG. You understand? So you need to do that. You understand? So that's my assessment about going forward. Yeah.
All right. And before you correct. Hold on, Hudson, don't come in here. Hudson, there's certain people like Hudson. The wound that the PRG saw is so deep.
Yeah.
You need a whole fraternity of doctors to heal the wound from the PRG hurt. They still, no matter what environment they're in, they must be of how hot they was in the PRG time. So sometimes to hit back at the PRG, you had to hit NDC like playing bonks, playing pool, hit off the bar. I mean, right back to the PRG. But Toro, I want to drive a nail here with you. And after Toro comment on this, I'll let Dover comment and Hudson comment on this, because we have election coming up in 2 years. The present construct of the NMP is in disarray right now. The former Prime Minister is not calling a convention. And I suspect he's not calling one until he convinced that he could win as the person that he wants to win has a solid base, right? To win that convention where you have dominion, you have control over whoever is. Do you think that it is something that the present government, the NDC party, should focus on winning at least 10% of the 28,000 voters that they had to really consolidate themselves into going to the next election? Toro.
Yeah, that should be. I mean, that would be a worthy objective to achieve, right? But then again, you have to. Again, what needs to happen is, I mean, like if I was advising a thing, you need to pay a little more. Don't just dismiss people who are complaining and grumbling and say, well, they're just NMP people who they ain't eating our food now, so they're unhappy, right? Among that group, there may be some people who genuinely was maltreated, right? They and the family. Pay attention to winning them. If you listen, what is happening now is like you just expressed, they may be dependent. I can't speak 100%. They may be dependent on people disgruntled with the state of the NMP party or because they're tired with Keith to vote for them, right? And without doing anything proactively to get that 10%. I mean that's a risky approach to take, right? You're not doing anything. You're saying, okay, well, the party in disarray, NMP is in disarray, Keith is not calling a convention, and they're unhappy, so they'll vote for us. We'll get a 10%. I mean, it may, but I would be rather take a more proactive approach to getting that 10%, right? Then there may be people who maybe may have been disfranchised, disillusioned and unhappy with the NMP last election cycle.
Yes.
And NDC comes, right? And they see what certain things that NDC promise, and everything will be higher on merit, and we do all that stuff, the unity stuff we talk about, and it's not happening. There's the possibility that people will say, listen, we just hold our breath. If the NMP put up a goat or cow or cardboard, we just vote for them just to get rid of that. I mean, it happened in 2013, right? After people say, okay, we put Uncle Tilly, they were tired with Keith again. And then by 2013, there was so much grumbling, so much noise, so much confusion. People just say, okay, we'll just go back to Keith, right? So I mean, none of us know whether it will Keith or be somebody else, but people are funny when it comes to politics. They may just say, listen, man, I thought these young people that do better. And whether they put up a goat or a cow or crap or a cardboard box, I'll just vote for them whenever the next election is called. So my point is that 10%, yes, it'll be good for NEC to get them, but my view is that they should do something to get them rather than saying, well, NMP is in disarray, Keith is not there, and not gonna, so we'll get them. I wouldn't take that chance.
Right.
I wouldn't do it that way.
But you should at least build some new political capital from a party point of view where you can say, you know what, we have to capitalize on the weaknesses and take advantage of it. Like, you know, when we see and they did that in 2008, going to 2013, NMP did that. I think Kenny Larson had, if you listen to Kenny Larson and Junior George last time, he made some analysis on that whole thing, 2013 election. But if you see a political move, a chess game. So I know Hudson's a draft man. You see a move now, you capitalize on it now and try to work and keep and maintain it going forward. Wouldn't that be something that you think that would help to foster the growth and seek to ensure that you cover those bases, that you won't have that disconnect going forward in 2025?
Yeah, I'm saying yes, but all I'm saying is that when you listen to, and you don't hear from the leader of the parties, but when you listen to supporters of the NEC, as I said earlier, they believe they have everything locked down, they have all the talent to build, and they have everything. And you're not seeing that reaching out, well, we don't need these NMP people, we only need them to vote for us. After that, is licks in the tail all over the place on social media and that kind of stuff. So what I'm saying, I'm agreeing with you. All I'm saying is, I'm not seeing it yet. And if it's going to happen, I would like to see it happen for them to get a 10%. But I won't just sit down and say, well, we'll get a 10% no matter what happens, because Keith is old, NMP is in disarray and that kind of stuff. It may happen, but I won't take that approach.
There's someone in the Alroy C. Philip is making a comment, and we often hear those comments. I know Deborah look at it in the chat, probably guys look at the chat. This comment is always been made to people in the diaspora that we're not on the ground. Truth be told, that we get information on the ground. We have people on the ground working on the ground. That's why Keith had people remotely. At Gem FM, we had the election that was won, right? It was a prediction based on our data with working with Dr. Pierre, who was able to predict the victory of the last election. And we was on the ground, and we have Dr. Pierre who come to the ground and give us information what happened on the ground in Grenada. So we're not remote from Grenada. We're not guessing what we're speaking here tonight. We're talking about analysis, data collection in Grenada on the ground, more than people on the ground in Grenada would even realize. So when Dr. Pierre come to Grenada and he collect the data and he come back here and release it, we are speaking
remotely. We're speaking from evidence collected and data collected on the ground in Grenada. So we're not remote from the disconnected from the Grenadian electorate. We are fully engrossed in what happened on the ground in Grenada. Tory is a journalist. He knows. Delbert just come from Grenada. Hudson just is constantly in touch with Grenadian people on the ground. So we're not speaking off air, like just showing hot air out there and hoping to catch up on something. We know. We have the data to back up what we're saying. We have people who collect data and give it to us. I have them. We have them, and we share it. So we're not speaking off our head just because we want to talk because in diaspora we don't know what's going on. We are very much aware. And I think the doctor, if you had listened to Dr. Pierre, you might not lose the election. You might take it. So we have predicted the Grenada election by a lot. And exactly how we predicted the election, because based on the data collection, NDC won on that, and we gave, and right now the data is still available. So if you want it, ask me, I could send it to you. And the projection and all the things that will happen if NDC does not make certain changes, they could lose the next election. That isn't data, and it's a warning to them. And there's people studying the data right now to be able to better capitalize on the next election. Delbert, your mic is muted.
Unmute your mic.
Yeah, so I agree that you have to expand your base, and you have to appeal to the people in the center, the people in the middle. In my own analysis, the both main political, there are some other political entities in Grenada, but the two main political parties are both center-right parties. You know, if you look up on the CIA fact book, it describes NDC as a center-left party. It's not. The vehicle I would use to consolidate that vote, because Tory is absolutely right, right? The NDC won because people was fatigued with NNP and Dr. Mitchell. So a combination of some crossover, some long-time crossover vote from NNP, some young people coming into their own who didn't see a future in Dr. Mitchell, and the third angle was a number of NNP supporters staying home, and that led to the NDC. So for me, how I would consolidate that win is by doing my best to deliver over the next 3 years a series of long-lasting, tangible benefits to as many people across the country as is humanly, economically, and physically possible. And I would focus on about 3 to 4 areas. A lot of times governments come into power thinking they can do everything for everyone, they can be everything for everyone. They can't. Not even government with huge, deep pockets, right? And we're dealing in a place where we're dealing with very finite resources. So I would focus on education, investment in education, fixing up our schools. If we have a national school repair program, it means it's going to affect the entire island, because one of the things that we have schools in almost every community. And it should not just be just the physical repair of the building, but it should include new training for teachers, introduction to more computer classes. AI is now becoming a big thing. Whether you introduce that at the primary school level or the secondary school level is a conversation that that we need to be having, right? The other investment I would see is in housing, okay? Our friend Ken Lewis always tells me this story all the time about an experience in Suriname, all right? Where the government went into, after they came to power, they went into the areas where they did not win. They lost big time, and they started to do some quality housing. All right. And there's a story of one villager who spoke about it after, and he said, there is no feeling in the world like how your life changes, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, how it gives you confidence. It helps your children perform better in school and everything when you have quality housing. He said he no longer, when it rains, he no longer had to gather his family to one side of the house where the galvanized was not leaking. Okay, now they could stay, everybody could stay where they are in their assigned room in the house. Rain could fall for 5 days, they good, right? Just from that, he said there is no way in his lifetime again any other political party would ever get his vote. And I'm saying all that to say housing is a fundamental right. It's a basic need for people. We have a massive shortage of housing in Grenada. If the government can find something, find the funds, there are funds out there available for this kind of program, to, let's say, add about 300 to 500 units. And I'm not a big proponent of individual houses, while I know, that's something that's very Grenadian, but we simply don't have the land. We simply don't have to be just building like that. So we have to look at whether or not we could build, apartment, multifamily complexes that are conducive to us, because those that were built previously are problematic. My understanding is that the one in St. Patrick's remains unoccupied because every prospective tenant that were brought, they say we can't live inside yet, right? So housing would be a major thing. And the other major investment I would make is in healthcare, where more and more of our people can have more and more of their problems solved at the local community level, okay, at the parish level. If all of a sudden everybody does not have to run to the general hospital to have a baby, to deal with an asthma attack, to deal with diabetic shock and all the other things, but you are able to bring these kind of health services to people where they live. Maybe we can't afford right now a nurse in every school, but maybe we can afford 2 or 3 nurses per parish who goes around regularly and looks at the primary health care needs of our students at that very early age. These are the kind of things that you can do, that would, the kind of vehicles that you would use. So you're doing good policy, it equals good politics, and it convinces your naysayers that these guys are serious. I can see how me and my family are benefiting from that. I can see how my child down the road is probably going to be able to go to TAMCC for free. Those kind of policies, what they have to implement. And if you can do it in a completely non-political way. So if it so happens that the person most needed of a house in Hermitage or in Chantemelle or in Belmont happens to come from the other side of the political spectrum, so be it. They are the person most in need. Let them have it first. That would be my my advice to them.
All right. Before we bring on Hudson John, I'll take a commercial break and I'll come right back to you guys. All right. So stay tuned. We're going to Margaret Francis on, and Margaret Risha can come in. The link is the same. You can still come on in. All right. So here we go. The Prime Minister visit to Canada. Yeah.
Friends of Grenada, the National Democratic Congress Support Group Canada, cordially invites you to a gala event with the Prime Minister of Grenada, Carriacou and Petite Martinique, the Honorable Deacon Mitchell, Saturday, July 1st at Bellevue Manor, 8083 Jane Street in Concord, Ontario, with cocktails from 6 p.m. and dinner at 7:30, featuring live entertainment, delegation speakers, and more. Ticket donation is $250. Proceeds go to the establishment of a party resource center in Grenada. Tickets are limited. The Honorable Deacon Mitchell, Saturday, July 1st at Bellevue Manor, 8083 Jane Street in Concord. For tickets and information, please call 647-859-4142 or 647-242-9256.
On Saturday, June 3rd, Toronto, get ready as Exterminator Promotion presents the return of the annual Green and White Party. Green and White inside Topaz, 1230 Shepherd Avenue West, Toronto. Featuring live your reigning Soca Mona King, Sarah the Governor. Today we go Sarah the Governor live. And your DJ is coming to shake the place. Exterminator Sound, Vibe, DJ Andy, Demolition, and DJ Winston. It's green and white. October 12:30, Shepherd Avenue West. For ticket packages or more, contact 416-618-8027 or 647-879-6191. It's the return of the annual Green and White Saturday, June 3rd. Get your early bird tickets now for only $40. Terra, the Governor live. For Green and White, be there.
We are Grenadians, are you? Like a spice, but everything lies. Grenadians, may God bless you.
Yes, we're back. And, welcome again to you listeners. We appreciate all of you commenting in the live, in the chat. Again, this is Gem FM Radio. We're based in Toronto, and we have got the best minds here tonight again. Two other persons, and Margaret is in the chat. I hope she will come in, but I always appreciate her being here with us. They all accuse me of not having women on my.
Margaret, join the gang, man. What are you doing?
So
Hudson needs some backup fire.
Yeah, bring Margaret in. Come on, join the gang, man.
So Hudson Judge, your way forward, what do you think needed to the government should do going forward?
Well, the government have to listen to people.
Yeah.
And nothing is 100% sure when you're in office. Natural disaster could bring down our government too. For example, when the NDC came to, the NDC almost beat the NNP in the early 2000s. When they won, the election was self-made.
Yeah.
Very close. Nimrod beat Prime by just a couple of votes, right? That could have tipped it. But then came the NNP when they came back, they were wounded, but they regained office. But then they get a natural disaster. 2 hurricanes back to back. That showed them off. That bring the NDC in 2013. But the NDC was upon them already. So whether the NDC will take them in the next election, but the 2 hurricanes hit them hard. Then when the NDC came, the NDC made one term, they had in fighting and so. And then NNP come back, but then when NDC came back, Mitchell made some mistakes too, and some of the close people that stand NNP, they made mistakes too. When Mitchell moved the Minister of Youth, there was I don't like to call him, there was one guy who he was made Minister of Youth and a senator. And Mitchell removed him for whatever reason, I don't know. Then who get a job after? Kate? Was Kate get it? Not too sure. Kate Louise. Well, anyway, then when Mitchell shouldn't take the Ministry of Youth, that was one of the blunders he made.
But I'm talking about moving this government now.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The government, the new prime minister, have to be careful.
Yes, talk about that.
Because certain things could tip you. Natural disaster, wrong decisions. You have to look at yourself, but don't become complacent. I think Kit Mitchell become complacent after that time. As Thoreau say, sometimes when people are around you, they're telling you things good, but you don't know if you're not right on the ground to know. So,
all right,
believe it. So the NDC leader had to learn all those things. Another thing again, the government on Grenada need to have a national social service. If you have a national social service, then we won't have people directly voting for political parties for the social services. Then you create a culture of some people, they always need, but there are other people, perhaps what need to and they didn't come. So if we have a national social service, I don't listen to them NNP activists talking about the new government take away the $150 from the needy people. But some of the people who get in the $150 are needy. Yes, they're needy. But there are a lot of people in Grenada who are needy too, but they don't, because the government don't have a national social services. Some of those people, you cannot depend on people and say, because, oh, Harry is not well, he cannot work, but his brother is a doctor. His sister is a lawyer. We have to get over this thing. And then we go come to have better politics. We need a national social services for people who need. You don't have to look at people's family and say, oh, the family is well off. That's nonsense. Every human being is a citizen. This is the next thing any government or the future have to look at. Because once you start doing that, you're creating political tribalism. These have to go.
All right. Well, before we move over here, I have two more things I want us to raise tonight. And thank you guys for the analysis and those of you in the chat who contributed to the conversation thus far. Well, there have always been a rumbling, and there's always been the thought, and we have discussed that here before, Delbert and I and Margaret and so on. We have discussed this NDC, this NMP infighting for a long time. It's not new to us. Something we knew and we saw it coming. However, Ms. Delma Thomas, as she has spoken in her own words, said a lot of things that is not new to us. However, it has reached the climax, and where she eventually moved over. And this is not new in Grenada politics. This is not new, and those people think it's new. It's not new. It's something that always happens. I think she did hers in the best style there was, you know. I think Delma did that in the best style. I think the most celebrated way of moving over. I don't think I've ever been a shift like that in the history of Grenada politics, how she did it. And I think she should be applauded for it. But my point here is, how would that change the political landscape, a projection of the new political movement as the NDC government? How would that help shape the future of that party as it is right now, with Delma coming on board, joining the government? Let me start with Toro.
To be honest, I mean, I'm not seeing Delma moving over as a big deal, you know. Honestly, I mean, even you look at she's in, but I mean, if you're bringing somebody who bring something to the table, at least they'll try to squeeze them somewhere. I mean, Delma is Delma. I like Delma personally. I remember when I first met her, she was at SGU. Me and a friend went there. She needed some help with something, right? But I mean, in the politics is hype. I mean, you are any party, somebody leave the other side and join you if it's your arch enemy stuff. But I don't see, I mean, Delma is not going to run in the next election. I mean, she and the daughter Thomas Gloria in the same constituency. There's no way. I bet my last EC dollar with King Charles face on it that NDC won't give up Gloria and let Delma run there. And Delma is not at not that level where she could run in different constituency in Grenada and win. Right? So to me, she's not going to run in the next election, right? She's not again like somebody who that she could she brings that multi-talent where you could put her in different ministries. So let's say she'll help support the Ministry of Finance or Ministry of Infrastructure Development. So I don't know. I mean, I wish I'd be like, I'm not saying this sort of vindictiveness or bad-mindedness, but I mean, in terms of the politics, it's exciting. I mean, you talk about it on Facebook and you're happy because you get somebody and you're now 10 and 5 and stuff like that. When you take away all the the flag and the bells and the whistle, I don't see it much. Maybe I may be surprised that it turned out to be something politically earth-shattering, but at this point, no, I don't. I see the real impact politically in shifting anything. Yeah.
Do you think that within the NMP party, though, that move will generate an exodus from the NMP to NDC?
Well, I see that how. I mean, it's not like Delma was like a leader within the NMP. She had this big set of following, and if Delma goes, so she'll go a whole bunch of people within the hierarchy of the NMP. I mean, I don't know. I'm not in the hierarchy of the party, but I don't see it. I mean, I think it's a lot of wishful thinking. That's how somehow Delma will be able to mash up the NMP party. I mean, it may happen. Maybe I don't have all the information, but to me, it's a lot of wishful thinking.
But given the utterances that with the different people that Miss Moses and Miss Maturin in Carriacou, the woman, and what the dark was allegedly done to them, do you think that there will be and even the excluding of Kate in one of the executive meeting? Do you think that there is a level of uneasiness among other members within the structure of the NMP that will either?
But that has happened before with both parties. Both parties have some people coming out and say they were treated badly. I mean, look at Terry Forrester. He has been one of the greatest spokesperson for any political party in Grenada. And when he and Keith fell out, everybody say, well, wow, Terry Forrester is going, and Terry Forrester promised to form a party and he was running, and everybody said that's the end. I mean, Gary had people leaving up in St. Patrick's, them St. Patrick's people again. Them. They've been bad. And Blaze and Ben Jones fell out to form TNT. And everybody said, wow, things mash up. I mean, that is regular political thing, you know what I mean? I mean, it's good coffee time, social media conversation. But honestly, in terms of the real politics, I don't see it right now. I mean, I would say just wait and see. But right now, I would say most of the hype around it's either impacting the NMP or acting the body politics of Grenada in a major way. I think it's just wishful thinking at this point. I don't see it. Yeah, I don't see it. It may happen, but I don't see it, honestly. Right. And it's not that I have anything against Delma, because I think she means well. She has been a good person. Even the same people president now used to cuss and say she can't speak and all that, right? Yeah. But now part of the politics she's embraced as a new hero. Like it's all political gamesmanship and political thing. I mean, honestly, if I was advising her, honestly, I would just tell her she has set apart. Anybody who doesn't understand where she has come from, what she has went through, I want to do interview with her. I would tell her don't do more media interviews. Anybody who doesn't understand how she arrived where she has arrived doesn't want to understand. You know, so I'm glad you said that. Take some time to take care of herself and think rather than going out and because a lot of people, honestly, they're abusing her still by bringing her out there and rolling her out, and I don't like it. Yeah. You know something? I'm glad you made that point there, because several times people ask me, why don't you get this point? When you get to come on the show? And I thought I see people taking advantage of her and trying to create their own momentum for themselves, to get public awareness for themselves, and using her as pawn in the whole
thing. And I refuse to get engaged in doing that. We could talk about it here. But I think to put her in and to let us keep talking everywhere. It's not to me. It's not good media to be doing. You know what I mean? So for me, I decided I was not going to get engaged in that kind of bantering and put her in going to speak out a lot of stuff from within the part that she just left and putting up into question to ask her those questions again that we know and we see it happening and let it unfold the way it should be, you know, and let it be. And eventually the political arena, those people who bat in and those who feel and those who catch in, eventually realize, you know what? She's on the team, and we will put her to play second field.
Delma set up part already. I mean, let her take care of herself, get her feet together. She herself has expressed that she has a lot of stress, things she's going through. I mean, we have to have a little sympathy and not just use everything for politics. And I sympathize with Delma. As I said, I like her as a person, and she's free to go where she wants to go. If she felt she wasn't being treated well within the NMP, leave. I will be the first person to tell her that. But I think we also have to kind of don't, use her as a political football because she's genuine in what she's doing. Just using her to get political mileage and stuff like that. And if I was advising her, I'll tell her, if people don't understand by now, they don't want to understand.
Exactly. Well, we have Margaret Francis with us. Hello, Margaret.
Hi, guys.
Our number one student,
Yeah, right. Hi, guys.
Hi, Margaret.
It's actually more fun listening to y'all, right?
You came into to bail out Hudson because of Mrs. Bradford?
Margaret from Cuckoo Belly, man. From Cuckoo Belly.
No, hey, I had to secure my interest of day, you know what I'm saying?
Tell me from Cuckoo Belly, man.
Margaret, Hudson needed a lawyer. The way Delbert was interrogating that man.
Delbert can't tie me up, man. I got some cousins that are lawyers, we live next door. Let's call them for him, man.
All right. So Margaret, you're here. I want to welcome you tonight again. And before I go to Delbert and go to Hudson again, I know you've been listening, and we've been asking these 11 months and then some days into the NDC's leadership and running Grenada. And we took some analysis that's for the 100 days. All right. Now, 12 months approaching, with 9 and some, 12 and 11 and some. What is your, if you go to school, because I'm giving you some little privilege here now, because you've been to not, Hudson always go into the history and come back to the point, right? Well, I know you will stick to that thing. In your, we talk about this party and so on numerous times on this show. Seeing as they're approaching that 12 month point, what is in a score from 1 to 5, or 1 to 5? How do you score them, and probably give a backup to that, to giving them the score?
I don't know. I mean, I think I should preface this thing by saying, what's the big deal about scoring people over 100 days or a year or whatever? Since when we do this kind of stuff? But hey, that's just me, and going off on my little tangents on these things that we tend to copy that really have no application to our situations. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's fair to judge any government given the nature of our systems, you know what I'm saying, by 100 days or a year, because you really can't do much in that space of time, as Toro was pointing out earlier on. I guess, but if I'm forced to say, I probably side with thing and probably give them maybe a B minus, somewhere there. I mean, because I can't really think of anything that's significant or mind-blowing that has been done in the space of that 100 years. I mean, that 100 days. I mean, I'm just, maybe I'm too harsh a judge, but you know what I'm saying? But I just can't really think of anything that would knock your socks off and say, well, hey,
There's no big bang for you to rejoice.
right.
Yet.
Yeah.
You know, that what I was saying, you need some significant projects, you know. But
Yeah. I mean, you know, when you talk about transformation is a process. It doesn't happen overnight. You know, this kind of stuff. It's an ongoing thing, you know,
Right.
and so I don't see it. Yeah, it's really difficult for me to honestly say, well, you know, they deserve this, that, or the other, because I really haven't seen anything to really knock my socks off.
All right, and that's coming from a woman, guys. So you got to really impress Margaret.
No, but it's me, and this is what I'm saying. I mean, you know, I'm more in terms. I'm more of a content person than I'm a form person, and I think too often we get caught up in the form of something rather than the actual content of the thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that has been said, and you know, there's a number of things people look at, Margaret, and people look at the pension payment, and we talk about here. People have trusted Deacon over Kit Mitchell paying the pension, so that, and then that was a promise I will fulfill the teachers' money, and those little things. I think Delbert said something not on this show.
Those are like low hanging fruit, though, you know.
Yeah, exactly. And when you're giving Dr. Keith credit for things like doing road repair and so on, this is maintenance project. This is not anything that deserve accolades, right? So things that is expected, like a parent that will come in the morning and give the children breakfast, it shouldn't be over complimented for that.
Well, and you know, and that's my thinking too. I mean, look, that's why I pay my taxes. Okay, I mean, I pay my taxes so that government will fix the roads, so that they will give me health care, so that they'll provide me with education. That's basically what I have you there for. That's what I employed you for.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So am I supposed to give you kudos for doing your job? What I'm paying you to do?
Right.
I mean,
so
maybe I'm being mean. I probably need to stop.
No.
But no, that's just my thinking. I'm thinking, look, I employ you to do a job. Those are that's the expectations of the job, right? And I expect you to carry them out.
Yes.
So I don't see why I need to come now and be giving you kudos and complimenting you for something that you should be doing. It's part of the job description. If you couldn't do it, then you shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Right. I agree. So given that, and we're on the point of Delma switching and stuff like that, as we said, this is not new in politics. How she had done it over the build-up over doing it was one of the smoothest transition we ever had. Unlike the Peter situation where get held, she been, as she said, been pressured in many different ways, treated badly and so on. So she had no choice. And she make mention about a Roman syndrome kind of thing. You get licked by your sister, you know, I think it's still love.
Yeah.
You know? And she made those points. I think as a woman, she have brought it home to a lot of other women. I think that message was a big message, not just a political one, but a domestic violence one. That people stay in relationship that long exhausted. They should have walked out of it a long time ago and they stay in it. And I think she made that point clearly, that as a woman, you know, we take so much, you know, and then when you get really bad and somebody will tell you know what, I don't think you're in the right place. You need to move out of that or you're dead. And I think in that case, for political death, I don't know if you see that at the end of a political career. And I know Tero was alluded to saying that you don't think she will run in the next election. But she have moved with a significant people support in that from that constituency too, to be supporting her going forward. It left to be seen if those translate into making a big dent in the next election in the Northwest, in Andrews Northwest. What are your thoughts on her moving over from one party to the other now? We know that happened already, but in her case, how do you see that move benefiting, making a serious political dent in the political arena?
Again, I mean, I don't know. I'm sort of like outside and left field on this too. I'm not one that favors crossing platforms onto another party. I mean, my thing is, if it's not working and you leave, if you go independent, I'm fine with that. Only because it seems to me that I'm always troubled because I think that when I think about the voter, and I always think that your obligation is always to the people who voted for you. And I want to think that the people who voted for her, they voted for her. I mean, some of them may have voted for her because they liked her, but some of them have voted for her because she represented a party that they supported, So I'm always kind of like iffy about crossing floors. And it's not just in Grenada because, I mean, it's not new to Grenada, but certainly it's not new in politics anyhow. So maybe you should stay independent. I mean, I don't know how much of a difference it would make to the landscape. I mean, I think I heard some of the comments that you guys were talking about earlier regarding NDC, and I think, they have their own set of work to do in terms of building and extending their base and, solidifying themselves, and not just figure that you're riding on your laurels, because as you know, those things in politics last less than 24 hours, and that's giving you a whole lot of stuff. Especially in our situation, I mean, if you can't meet people's needs within the moment that you get into office, the honeymoon is over even before it begins. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I really don't know, how much of a difference it's going to make.
You made a point there, and I just want to go back to what Delbert said. I think Sonia Martin Scott had agreed with Delbert on that point of the little things, the community services, the why should one try to travel to the general hospital to deliver a baby when you have community nursing, healthcare, little thing, little housing project in the community that you can reach out and do. That will help you build political capital for the next election as well. So would that be something you would encourage? Just want to give would it be something that would you see that would make a big difference or make a dent into the political landscape favoring the NDC going forward?
Yeah, and I know that Delbert is probably familiar with this too, and I always think O'Neill always said that all politics is local. All politics is local. It's not about the national things at all. And it's funny that you should talk about, somebody shouldn't have to go into St. George's to have a baby or even to get basic health care. It's funny because I was talking to my niece, and I'm sure people like Delbert, and they could also remember those days too, when there was a medical station in the community and the nurse lived there. And you could basically go to that medical station at any point in time and get treatment. So the question is, why does that not exist today? If that existed way back when, and you should be building on that. I mean, and I'm not saying that you could have a first-class facility in every single place, but you could locate, things in central areas where people can, you zone it out so that people from this particular zone could go there. And, you have satellites around where they can treat the minor things, the minor burns, the minor cuts, an emergency where you may be able to stabilize a patient and then move them on to wherever, and those are things that can be done. And the reality is there are places in the world, I always say, that have less resources than Grenada, and these people are doing great things with less. So it's not that you cannot do it. The question is there the will to do it? Right.
All right, that was really good, Margaret. And that's why I say I love when people come in here. So but another two things that people beat me up on the head and say, where's the woman on the panel? They have Delbert and Hudson, the two St. Patrick's people. So I want to get from Hudson George before I go to Delbert. I want to get Hudson George take on Delma, because you alluded to Delma. So let me hear from Hudson George and the Delma issue. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, Delma issue might not only be, it could trickle down into something else, because you see, maybe language used and statement made, for example, she mentioned that she has a mother who has some mental problem. And members of the party threw that at her. Now, if you have people with mental problem in your family, you know what it is. I know about those things, right? And people, they say, oh, if you have one member of your family who had a breakdown, or they say everybody crazy, you know? And in politics, as educated people, they shouldn't say that.
Yeah.
Wow, that is hurting. So, what Delma moving from the NNP party, crossing over to the NDC, don't look at it only as a personal benefit or security or whatever it is, which she was abused. St. Andrew could become a political guy-pay for the NNP with that. In Creole, a guy-pay means a so food. So, now, guy-pay means so food. Now, Delma moving from the NNP party, and there was some disgruntled NNP Imanis in the Paradise, Lafayette, Paraclete Mountain area there. One of them, the Charlie's Kit Mitchell in a rally in IM Forum. And she was fired.
Yes.
The day when Delma had a forum, say she gonna cross over. That was the girl who hugged her in the end. Now that girl have support on the ground. Now, I was raised a Jewel, so I understand that. In Hermitage, we were in the Jewel, we were able to influence other people in the community. So you could see that girl is on the ground.
Yeah.
Girl said she was at NDC once. She find the NDC was doing shit. She moved to the NNP. Then she running problem with the NNP. And she go back to the NDC and she said, Delma, welcome. So we got to look at all this groundwork there. There is a new generation of people. So these people could be part of a transformation in a plus for the NDC party. You see, forget Delma could be just a chain that broke, a link. You see, politics is a funny thing. And in the future, if Kit Mitchell step down and he create a new leader, if you take one from inside the party, or if you bring in somebody from outside, there will be an exodus from the NNP party too. Mark my word. If you pick a member of his caucus right now, there will be exodus. If he brings somebody from outside, there will be exodus. So the NNP got to go back to the drawing board as early as possible to build back themselves. If you go pick somebody from inside, pick somebody from inside. If you're going to bring in somebody from outside, do it now. If the longer they take is worse for them.
You know, I something I want to come to mind before I forget. There about Margaret, to any one of you could answer this, right? I hypothetically thinking within the 3-year term, if the NDC sees that I think it happened in Canada here already twice, I see it happening here twice. You feel in a good place, after 3 years, right? Would it be wise then? I know it happened here and it worked well here twice for Trudeau. To go for Trudeau twice and for John Chrétien once, to call an election before the 5-year term. You think NDC is in that position, will be in that position 3 years to do that? Anybody?
No.
There would be no real incentive to do it. Why?
No, I'm asking if there would be one. If there is one, given the momentum
Yeah, but even if you're doing well, what would be the incentive? If you're doing poorly, then there's absolutely no incentive.
Right. But I think it's happening here twice. And Hudson, correct me, you remember that Trudeau did it already twice.
Yeah, but the reason why you can look at Canadian politics and compare it to Grenada politics.
No, I'm saying he was done. And when he was riding high and he saw that there was a weakness in the other parties, so he capitalized on that only before they transitioned.
But Mitchell did it and succeed once too.
Yes.
So Neil did the same thing in Barbados.
Yes. So what I'm saying is, what you can have with something that cannot be done
Well, you had our climate for that to happen. When Mitchell did it, Mitchell had problem with Fletcher. He did it. Yeah. So he did it because he had problem with Fletcher. And he do it again this time and he lost. He didn't make the 5 years, he called it on the 4th year.
But few governments in Grenada go to 5 years. I predict that this NDC government will call an election between 3.5 and 4 years.
That's what I'm thinking.
When you look at the NDC government, I mean, the Prime Minister himself, I would say, carrying about 80% of the load, right?
No, 99.
99, and that's a lot, right?
Yes,
I mean, and he not much room, shuffle that kind of stuff, right? With NMP going through his stuff, I think it will be to his advantage. Call an election within 3.5 to 4 years. I honestly don't see him going 5 years.
That's my thinking.
But he has said that his plan is to serve 2 full terms.
Right.
You said that?
Yeah.
When?
Platform. Yeah.
I didn't hear that. Sometimes people
said it.
Sometimes people make up
said that.
Yeah, but that's
said he was only
all
going to do 2
politics.
terms.
Kit Rowley said
I never heard that. I've never seen that in writing.
Yeah,
that's a makeup thing. Seriously.
I gotta see that in writing.
Exactly. It's not if we see it in writing.
Yeah, I see it in writing. With a notarial stamp.
That looked like a good PR line to be selling.
Black man and political power, no.
So you say that's an ad lib on the campaign?
Yeah. That or some PR person writing something.
But go ahead, Delbert.
So I see the Delma thing as a big nothing burger. Okay. Hudson, I know the young lady you speak about. She's very dynamic, and you're absolutely correct. She has a huge following, and I think she has a future in Grenadian politics. Happened to be a friend of her, and actually on my last trip, we met and had lunch and spoke extensively. I don't think it's going to have any effect on NNP. NNP troubles have very little to do with Delma. And I don't think she has, by the way, I think she's a really nice person too. I agree with Tora on that. And I have a long time NDC stalwart, a good guy who does his best to look at things objectively, and not just now. For years now, he's been telling me, boy, the only good person in NNP is Delma, So he say she makes an honest effort to do things right, to be fair with people, to be reasonable. So
similar sentiments.
Yeah, from a personal perspective, everybody has, and everything that I've seen and known, I've been told about, I don't know how, at that level, people speak very well of her. But I don't think it's going to have any effect, When Wellington Friday left GNP and joined Gary and became education minister, it was a heavy blow to GNP. Many people thought that was the end of it. I don't think that's the situation here. The problems that NNP is going through, they're going to go through it. They're going to biology or politics is going to take care of it. I do agree with you, Hudson, that either way it happens, they will lose. There will be an exodus if members of the current crop, if a member of the current crop other than the Prime Minister, even if Keith retains leadership, there's going to be an exodus also. There are just a number of people within the NNP political apparatus that's just tired of him. They've had it, they don't have any confidence in him. They don't think that he can win again. And so they will either stay at home or look for a new home, a space within the NDC. And if he brings in somebody from the outside, as there was a lot, a number of people I met with down there, that was part of the conversation, and names are being tossed about. There will be an exodus, along those lines too. In terms of, I agree to her that she probably would not run in the next cycle. But very early, John, I don't know if you remember that, we had heard some rumblings about her from I think before it became public. And what I had suggested was that if I was the prime minister, I would simply make it's politics, nothing more to it, make her an offer that she couldn't refuse, you know, or appoint her to an ambassador position somewhere, and then hold a by-election. You know, it would right now put NNP on the back foot, you know, hold a by-election and take the chance. You have nothing to lose. If you lose, you're still at 9-6. If you comes out the other way, you're at 10-5, and everybody was from your original camp. So I think the prime minister is, over the next few weeks or months probably, will find something for her to do. There's a lot of Grenada is a heavy lift to get it to that so-called transformation agenda. So I'm sure she can contribute. She was previously Minister of Social Development, and she ran the hospital too. I think she was like a shadow or deputy minister of health also. So you know, like I said, she from everything, she's a compassionate person. And yeah, but in terms of her leaving NNP and joining NDC as any political earthquake, that's not happening, you know. She'll probably bring along the 20 to 25 or 30 people within her family to vote for the next time for NDC, but the seat will still be competitive.
Okay. Wow. Well, that is again our political analysis for the time. I am very mindful of the political transformation agenda that is happening in Grenada, and I think we all take a look at it. I think Hudson, Toby, and journalist behind the ground, Margaret, you know, all of us, we listen a lot, we hear from people. Dr. Justin Pierre is always giving me something, you know, some data, you know, and data collected and so on. I think where we are right now in Grenada parties, I think the NDC in a good place. I think they should seek to build and expand the base, not be confined to what they have right now, but stretch out, reach out further and do things like Deborah was saying, little things that you may do, community politics, not national politics, community politics, where you could touch and meet the people, like Gary, meet the people too, meet the people where they are and help them where they are. And that in itself will help the transformation and kind of create a nuances within the political landscape. It was related to the party expanding its base for support for the next election. However, I do believe, and I think Toro shared that sentiment, in 3.5 years, I think that the NDC will call an election, you know, to capitalize on the weaknesses of the NNP. And doing that, they need to really, really step it up on the ground to get that support, bigger support than they're having right now.
And John, I mean, when you look at the kind of busybody things that let's say Andy Williams is doing, right? I mean, substantially is not thing, but that has worked in our politics. They already did a lot of that. Beautify the place, plant flowers and that kind of stuff, right? So I'm not faulting him. I'm just saying in the politics that works in our politics. People like to feel and touch and see stuff, right?
Yes.
So if you can beautify about 10 communities within the next 2.5 years, let's call an election. What are you waiting for?
Call election. That's what I'm saying.
Toro, I saw somebody with a really funny post on Facebook that said, and he came to New York and there were 2 potholes on Church Avenue, and he immediately ordered it fixed. You know?
Yes, I saw that one. I saw that.
No, serious. I mean, and that to me, like that busybody thing, and then they're having all this big fundraising to raise money. Parties only raise money that early when they're planning to call an election early, right? Yeah. So all signs in my political experience tell me, listen,
it's there.
These guys ain't going 5 years. These guys calling the election early. So Andy gonna be busy for the next little while. right?
St. Patrick's is coming.
He coming up. He going by Hudson. I tell him to pass by Hudson.
By the way, by the way,
Understand?
he's arguably the most popular politician on the
Right.
island.
That's what I tell you. In all politics, that thing works. It works. You
Yeah.
understand?
Yes,
Just be a
it does.
busybody. And I know if he
And
gets if
he has
to
that-
$5 and thing, you understand me pocketing.
Yeah, he has that personality to
Yeah.
match different activities, you know.
So yeah, I see that thing happening sooner than the 5 years.
Yes, I feel I get that sentiment, you know, I get that feeling that that's gonna happen because you know, probably people might say, well, John, you're crazy, you know, why you want to do that? You know, when you look at what's happening in Grenada right now, people seeing some little signs of change. They're seeing, and it's tangible stuff, like I say, Toro, that they could relate to. That happening. Look at what happened in Mang, the transformation are going on down there. You know, and look at the grounds, that stretch of Bishop Highway thing, that project going on there. People seeing something that has never been happening in the last 12 years. You know what I mean? So they see something that they could grab. You know what? I think that's a good idea. And people start reasoning with themselves. And I say, you know what? Let me show you to do up the road. And up the road community start doing it. Andy, want you to do something over here? And he replies, he command and say, I'm working for you. You know, and not only that work for him, the government looks good. You know? Yeah. And people start saying, you know what? I think this government doing a good job. And Andy should be for prime minister. You know, listen, Andy for prime minister is what I want to. You know what I mean? Because he's out there, he's doing his stuff, and he lifting up the face, and those people who voted for NDC are feeling proud, and they will go talk to people about, and then this 18-year-old that turned 18 years, there's what, in the next 3 years, about 18 years, people turn 18 years every day. Yeah? So how do you get that 18 years who didn't know about the NNP, but they're seeing what's happening now? They'll have no choice. Most of them will have no choice, especially come from an NDC household. You're talking about another 30,000 people. 20,000 people come into that voting booth.
Well, one of the promises was to make TAMCC free. So if they're able to accomplish this in year 2, that would speak a lot to young people, you know.
Yes. Very much so. All right. So Deacon is the man. All right. So we have about 15 minutes to go, and I want to just give the opportunity for us to go around the table and just give your closing remarks. Start with Hudson first.
Well, I don't want to be repetitive. What I said before. And in closing up, that one thing I see in the government that I'm too happy with, the way they do it, it doesn't make sense to me. And before I say it, I'm going to name the second one. Keeping to that is like prophecy for me on this program. I believe that the NDC have a good chance to make a second term in office if they could do a lot of political, social, whatever. So when I say social development, it could be in whatever form of humanities in the big parish. If they could lock the big parish and they split St. David in 2 in the next election.
Please, no more parliament.
From St. Patrick, if they just build a thing for us to go in Carriacou and we have to go in town, to go in Carriacou, they win in again.
Yes.
I believe that way Kenny Lal Singh is around it. That's what he wants. Just give us a place where our speak could brace. And they're going to win that 2-seat again. I believe that. But the NDC make a boo-boo on this creative cultural thing they had there. That was a boo-boo. Now,
why?
I will tell you why. We don't need no discourse on intellectual property thing in Grenada. What we need in Grenada is a radio station like WAC. Whether it is government owned or not, St. Lucia having one now. St. Lucia had a radio station that was closed down and they turned it into culture. We need, if all the government had to do was to give the creative people a media house. So we could talk about creativity, play music, go back in the community, revive the culture. This thing about intellectual property things, that was just academic discourse. We don't need those things. You
Really?
go to the, you have to go. Let me complete. You don't have to agree with me. And next thing the government.
Hudson, you're digging a hole there, man.
No, wait. The government didn't have to have no symposium to tell radio station in Grenada you got to pay 30% of local music. That was just a waste of time. That's my opinion. You guys don't have to agree with me. There is do it physically. Create a radio station for local content. Make a radio station in Grenada. Play a percentage of local content and revive culture in the community.
But you're defeating your own argument.
Beauvalet. That was just Beauvalet.
You just defeated your own argument.
No, we don't need to hold 5 days for that.
Really?
That's my opinion.
So you don't think the creative arts is an important part of economic development?
You didn't know I said. All you need to do is create a radio station like WAC in Trinidad.
So just create a radio station in the abstract.
5 days of
Hudson,
for that.
Hudson, creative arts goes beyond, and creatives go beyond music and dance and song.
You guys are watering down what I'm saying.
No, we're not watering down what you're saying.
Let me explain.
You are limiting. You want to put a boundary around what is creativity.
No. When I say
and
that,
also
I'm not
people's
talking
intellectual
about
property.
No. I'm not talking about music only. But if you have a media is powerful. You have a media, the media is playing music, and you could have creative people to go to that media and express what they're doing. You add it on television programs. We have Beyond the Headline. We have so many programs. Create a program on the television for the creative people. You don't need no 5 days of symphonium to talk about culture. That, to me, is a waste of time.
Really?
I know where Hudson coming from. Hudson just telling you guys. Hudson didn't get invited.
No.
Okay, got you, Toro. Got you.
No. If you come into that one now, if you come into that one now,
this is a personal side.
You know who was missing?
Etienne.
Both of the Etiennes.
All right, I know. I see
Right.
several times.
Both of the Etiennes.
Hostile vendetta. You see that?
Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
One of Grenada most.
Oh, you're prophet.
One of Grenada most creative. Creative person.
Hudson and I have had long conversation at York University, so I could always know where he's going.
But let me complete. One of Grenada's most creative person living in Toronto on the Westway. Afrobeat music is going globally all over the world. You raise a thing. I didn't want to say that.
I know.
They should have invited. You see Radford Etienne. This guy go to Nigeria, Ghana, Togo.
What about you?
No, man, I have my mouthpiece already. I create my mouthpiece.
But Hudson, honestly, even on the radio station thing, it still need to be discussed. You still need to have a framework in how you're going to do it. You're saying, even if your idea is the best idea about a radio station to do it, you need to have a framework who you're going to hand over the radio station to. It has to be managed. You have to talk about funding. So even if it's not the creative art 5 day what they had, there must be some discussion to set up the framework, the mechanism for establishing the radio station, even if it's the radio station, as you say. So why they kind of dismiss the creative arts, whatever they had, even if if they're going to do what you are suggesting, there will still need to be a period of consultation and discussion as to how this radio station will work, who will manage it,
but you have heard say
whether it will be set up in St. Patrick or on the wharf, whether it be set up in St. Paul.
You cannot put the cart before the mule. Radford, the other time we didn't see Radford for 4 months. We wanted to call radio.
Radford is your family or what? Radford is your family or what?
Yeah, but Hudson, you can't base, you can't
know
just base.
Radford was my family? Is that good thing
I
to
know
say
that.
that?
I know that.
Yeah, Radford was my family.
So you base in national policy.
And I'm not doing it for formality. Radford make music for me, but I didn't know we really related. Radford gets sick, and Radford fall down. So when we call him Dr. Rad, we are Dr. Rad sick. So we go to Sunnybrook Hospital to see Dr. Rad. Radford just black out, and he was in a coma for 2 weeks. So when we go and see Radford's sister Jenny, Jenny asked me, where I'm from? I said, I'm from Hermitage. Jenny tell me she know 5 people in Hermitage. But the 5 people she says she know, they are all my cousins. 2 by my father's side and 3 by my mother's side. She tell me she know Tillman Thomas and she know Andrew Thomas. Because Jenny is a lawyer, Radford's sister is a lawyer. So she know them. So I say, okay, you know. And then when we go and see Radford, Tillman nephew came to, because he like music. I say Radford Farley. He go with me because he go by Radford. Right? Then Radford tell me, Miss Enoch, Rosula, and Tabitash. She tell me that's the cousins. So I say, are you Alexis? And they tell me, yeah, the Radford and her mother is Alexis. So I say, well, if you know Miss Enoch and Rosula and them, my grandmother, my mom's mom is Miss Enoch aunt. Miss Enoch father is my grandmother brother. That's my mom's auntie. I'm uncle. And then when Radford mother come, and she tell me, well, them is Alexis. They moved from Hermitage to St. David's, and then they end up in Calivini. So when I put it together, they are my old grandchildren too.
So we should develop national policy around your family.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm Alexis. All the Alexis in Sotel, Shantimel, all about that, the same people.
And I'm just asking.
Hold on. So Hudson.
Should the prerequisite for national policy on the creative
No,
arts?
I'm saying that because we really need. I'm saying that. What I'm saying, this is the most experienced creative man in Grenada. Togo.
In your opinion.
For 5 months.
In your
opinion.
But in my opinion, but in reality. Sorry.
No, but
your opinion.
In your opinion.
Oh,
in your reality.
I take back what opinion. Reality.
So you're saying there are no other Grenadian that have made the contribution to the arts?
No. Why? Okay. Do you know the artists who make one of the biggest songs in Grenada? Old Man, if we want to deal with culture. They didn't go and dig out Johnny Rhythm in the back of Prospect and ask him how he make the tune. Let it go, we like it so. Huh? Okay. If anywhere you play that song, one time we played a song in a dance here, and he had 5 people from Sierra Leone and they go crazy. Let it go, we like it so. You don't know that song, no?
Of course I know.
Country and Western, you just listen.
So Hudson, what about Victoria Bus? What about Victoria Bus?
It's small fry. Well, that is just my criticism. That is my only criticism I give the government.
That's a judge.
Government have to go to the community and revive culture. Bring people like Radford to Grenada to explain to people how he could able. A man born in Radford, I think he born in Calivini. How a man from a little place like that could be making music Nigeria, 200 million people plus, and they love him more than us.
But you're beginning up a tongue, man. Caribbean is in tongue, you know. You're beginning up a tongue, man.
No, but Caribbean is not from tongue. You're from tongue. You're from tongue. You're from Carnage.
So all of a sudden, the geographic barriers went out the window.
Disappear. Yeah.
So
the same parish.
That's the only little criticism I see them. I give them. Now, what I did wasn't bad, but I think they should, for the time they're there, they should have that radio station and more programs for pertaining to those things, because you need more of that. We need more of that. But anyway, as a closing, I think what I'm saying going to come to pass, because one time I did a live and I say we're going to see wars fighting with drones, and they say I'm crazy.
Wars fighting with who?
Drones.
Yeah.
They tell me I'm a madman, crazy. So whatever I say tonight, as I rungs up, I say, well, as I said, I give the government a B minus or a B or a B minus.
Plus you said.
And I'm sticking to my point. B minus. I'm sticking to my point that St. Andrew is the battlefield for the next general election in 5 years, 4 years.
But there's nothing new, Hudson.
No.
So in order to win an election in Grenada, you have to win three to 6 seats between St. Andrew and St. Patrick's. There's no doubt.
But St. Patrick's and NDC could hold it down. I tell you
what I'm saying. You had to treat St. Patrick and St. Andrew as one, the 6th seat. Gary knew what he was doing. Again, Uncle Gary was a genius.
If we could just
he had 6 seats out there. Yeah. All the tongue people could have win all the tongue seats, and he gonna win the one in Grandance, and he go form the government. Then Jewel boys couldn't beat Uncle Gary.
Only Prime Minister do those.
But Gary never won St. Patrick's West. Never.
But that's why he divided St. Patrick. He said, well, all they're taking that, so cut it up in two.
Whatever he did, he won peace.
Exactly.
Once they put that jetty,
but
in the a little place for us to go Carriacou, people satisfied.
Yeah. Challenging. Very challenging in those areas because of the water.
Work in St. Andrew and split St. David in two, and the ball is in the cup.
No more constituencies. We need to reduce constituencies.
One more services, right, Delbert?
Yeah, no more constituencies.
That's just my political analysis.
All right,
Delbert, we have too many.
All right, Delbert, your turn. Closing remarks.
So you listen. I'm in general agreement and with most of the sentiments expressed here. In closing, I give the government a solid C+. I'm a tough grader. I think they would have gotten a B from me had they announced and started working, just probably announce and put details together for a signature project within the first year. It appears that that's not going to happen. I think what has really happened is that the administration has sort of began to convince the Grenadian public that they can govern, and that the idea that Dr. Mitchell had long promoted, that he was the only person who could run Grenada, people no longer believe that. So during my month stay in Grenada, I saw a people who was very hopeful, but there's a cross-section of the population who are very pensive. And then there's another slice who are waiting to be convinced. They're willing to give the government a fair chance to do the right thing. And I think the point that Toro was making very early, all right? Some of these so-called firings, whether they happen in Carriacou or in other constituencies, some of it is not true, but some of it is. And they have to be careful about that, because when and that sentiment was already expressed here, that when you fire one person, it doesn't just affect that person. We live in clusters. Sometimes it is one person in that family carrying the entire family. So they have to be careful about that. And I despise political victimization of any form. So I want to see us put a serious dent in that, so that the next time a government attempts to do that in Grenada, people would be ready to take to the streets to demand that their government not engage in those kind of divisive and destructive practices. I think they, in other words, they have sort of built a good platform or springboard to do bigger and better things in year two. I like Andy personally, but a lot of that transformation thing looks like helter-skelter to me. And I'm hoping that, you know, we bring some, you know, there's something that I found and kind of knew and saw evidence of again, is that we don't seem to rely on data in Grenada. People just, we want to do this, let's just get up and do it. We don't examine things. There is no long conversation about how to do it, what is the best way, because now there's conversation going around about transformation and redoing food. I can't call the word because I refuse to call it by that. So I'll call it Fort Rupert. But what do we want there? Should that place be repaired or should it be restored? It's two different things, because you can repair it and do all new stuff and it lose its historical appeal. So I think restoration is a different thing, and maybe that's what we should be looking for. There's some monies from certain UN organizations like UNESCO and other agencies around the world who might be able to help with that. But to just rush and put up some cinder blocks and say you're fixing this and you're fixing that, that's not the way to do it. It's not the way. So, but I'm hopeful. And I think we should have a very interesting sort of forward thinking, forward leaning next 3 to 4 years.
All right. Thank you so much. Margaret, your final words.
I don't know that I have a whole lot to say. I mean, I joined you guys late, so I sort of share a lot of the sentiments that were expressed. I disagree with Hudson on the Creative Conference, which is all well and good. I disagree with him on that, but I think that Delbert has made some key points about thing, and just on the people. I mean, I'm not familiar with every single in the case of people who lost their jobs, but there were instances where it's just because of the nature of how the system is and what you're working on and what you're working with, that some people lost their jobs. And there are also some rules that, you know, we don't like them, but sometimes you just gotta follow them. And it's one of the sad things about our societies. You know, when you work in certain things, you can't do certain things.
Yeah.
And there are consequences to doing those things as well. It's sad, but it's just the nature of things. I mean, I don't know how to fix it or what to do. I think they're bigger conversations, and you know, often the road to hell is filled with good intentions, and I think that's kind of a lot of those things are situations as those. They started off as good intentions, but of course it created complications down the road.
Right. Fair enough. Lincoln Terrell Deputy.
Oh, okay. Just as a passing comment on something Delbert said about doing stuff and knocking down buildings. 2 comments about that. I remember Delbert had posted something on Facebook, and I said, preserve if we can preserve. The issue I have with that is, I mean, in a small, struggling economy, I know people always talk about preserving buildings, right? you restore, you preserve a building. I mean, to do what? I mean, you have to maintain a building, right? Honestly, it could generate some kind of revenue. I mean, yes, I would like to see all these buildings maintained, but I mean, if you preserve it, who's going to pay to maintain it? You may even need a watchman to watch it and somebody to clean the place, you know what I mean? So, I mean, you always think short term about restoring, we like a historical thing, and the Willie Red Foundation saying that we preserve stuff. But I mean, when you preserve it, it has to be maintained also, right? So where's the money going to come to maintain these buildings? So we got to think also long term. I would like to see them, a lot of them remain, as I said, but we got to think beyond that, how we maintaining them. And on that point, I was kind of concerned when I saw the town hall building in Market Square knocked down. Wow. I mean, again, Andy's busy, and I like busy people, busybody, right? I don't know who told him to knock down that one. I don't know why that one was chosen, but that building is the equivalent to York House in terms of where politicians met. And that one was knocked down, you understand? So you have to be a little careful. You have to slow down a little bit sometime and maybe ask a few questions, right? My closing comment will be on what I started with. I know the NDC is popular, they're the best material, the Prime Minister is popular. But as I said, I'm not convinced that any one group, political party, organization has all the talent to build Grenada, and we cannot build a country on 50% of the population pulling together. We need more than that, maybe up to 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 will be better. And I would just like to see the Prime Minister himself, who is popular and he's the leader of the country, making an effort to kind of reach out, to kind of bring in people. I'm not saying he's kind of silent on that issue for almost a year, but I think going forward after the first year, try to work on that national unity part. Because I mean, yes, you might do things, your party thing, but it'll be just short-term, piecemeal kind of building. If you don't have national consensus and people buying into it, because you have to continue projects. If, for example, this government does something and they happen to lose office, if there's no consensus around it, whoever wins the next election, GOD, GNP, NDC, they may look to tear it down because they're going to look too good on all you. So we're taking it down, right? Exactly. Nobody could take down the airport. Yeah. They sell it. Even though NDC was saying that NMP was going to sell it, which was a lie. They ain't going to sell no airport. They can't sell the airport, right? So again, as I said at the top, I wish the government well, but I just wish that they will try and bring people, the nation together. Keep your supporters, but try and bring in other people to get involved in the nation building part of it. And I think the leader who is popular, who is bright, should take the lead in trying to do that. And I know Delbert and Hudson and Margaret will join. I will do my little piece also.
You know Delbert and Hudson ain't Sean Margaret, you know.
I don't delve in politics.
Wait, Toro, are you suggesting that a sale or privatization of the airport would result in old people like me picking up arms again?
Yeah. I know. Even Hudson, he never forget what he got jail from the PRG. Forget he got jail. He'll be working at that.
Boy, you know what?
Oh, Toro. Go inside Hudson. Hudson have a deep wound.
The only thing the Bible do for a lot of us in Grenada, it make us don't want to kill a lot of people. I don't pray, but Christianity.
Hold on, Hudson.
I'm telling you,
Hudson.
There's a lot of people working in Grenada and they're living for the next country they dead long time ahead.
So which camp the jail in? Hudson, which camp the jail in? Was it Camboni to put you in and the lock up?
I've never been to jail.
No.
What I'm saying.
Oh, no, Hudson and them.
They are the strangest politics because a lot of people do a lot of worthlessness. They enjoy good life.
Hudson was a very good PRA, you know, until the bigger guns roll into Paul's airport and shut down the barracks and put them out. And the jail commander of the camp and Hudson gets despondent.
And the commander of the camp, Scale is the key to a lot of people coming back in the rural. Why did he open the key for them to come back to the rural?
So Hudson Judge have a deep home from St.
And then on top of that, they closed the airport. So that one he ain't forgiving them.
That airport is going to come back. That airport is going to open again.
When?
I don't know, but it's going to open again.
It go open for Hudson Gulf Stream.
I bet you that airport open again.
Hudson, the one we have now is barely used about 30% of the time.
Exactly. That airport go open again. Let me tell you something. Airports runs with activity. Did you hear from I didn't see it on the news, but I understand that even in Barbados, they're thinking about challenge you guys at SGU because they say there is not enough entertainment for American students in Grenada. Did you hear about that?
That's not true.
That's not true.
That's not true.
Oh, that's a
Dominica, they took the school that was in Dominica went to Barbados. And Dominica is opening another medical school now.
So that one was just a Grenadian propaganda talk.
Yeah, that is all talk.
No, but
it gotta be some PRG guys that create that one.
No. I see the story.
You guys call it propaganda.
Hey, stop that. You just want Uncle Gary.
Hudson, in 2019, just before pandemic broke out, SGU said that they wanted to increase their student body by about 10,000 over the next 5 years, right?
Yeah.
So the kind of investment that SGU has made in Grenada, they ain't going nowhere.
They ain't going nowhere.
I'm not saying they're going, but
they did say that they had a drop. There was a drop in
Yeah.
registrations.
Yeah.
And one of the things I had seen another story that said that because Barbados has, there's more access to flights into Barbados than they were into Grenada, that Ross was taking away some of the registration from Grenada to Barbados.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I'm sort of have a nuanced thing about SGU and this kind of institutions, but the SGU geographic location alone, Barbados would be hard to compete with that. I mean that place is just If you're going to study and have fun, you're pretty hard pressed to find a better location.
I agree. Grenada have nice scenery, but Barbados have more activity. Now, for example, there's a thing called functionalism. And Barbados as a society, when you're dealing with functionalism, they're more modernized on that. Now, this is the last thing I will say tonight. Where there is no proper system of functionalism in societies, we tend to lose part of the economic pie. And then we tend to have a political melee. Because, for example, if you look at Sudan, where people killing each other, they belong to the same religion, they never create a system beyond religion. In Grenada, we have a political system, which is Westminster system. The average Grenadians doesn't know that our highest court is the British Privy Council. So they're still caught up on the old laws of Grenada. Perhaps more Barbadian must be more up to date with those things. The old laws of Grenada, magistrate sentence you for 6 strokes in Sutter's Courthouse or St. George's Courthouse or Grenville Courthouse. You appeal the case, you go to the High Court, they can't touch you. Because in England, they don't beat people. You understand?
But
what I'm saying to you, we in Grenada have a Westminster system of government with laws that the British don't use again. But the British updated the law. We still want the final court. You can't hang a man in Grenada. There's a lot of laws the British give you. they take it out. But your mindset don't change. So we get caught up between Judeo-Christian religion and the old British system, because when you listen to most Grenadian, every analogy or examples they have to make, they go to the Bible. It's just like in Sudan.
But that's not Grenada. That's not Grenada. That happens.
No. It's very common in Grenada.
Like, it's common anywhere, man.
That happens here.
It happens in the US and Canada too. They do the same thing.
Of course.
No, in Canada they use Bible. Canada don't even go to church.
The church is that.
Hudson, Barbados is not in the Caribbean, you know.
I know, is it? Yeah. Well, you have a poem. What is Barbados?
But listen, no. I'm going to defend my country. Barbados has the same parliamentary British system.
Yes, they do, but they're more up to date of what's going on. The average Grenadian not up to date with how we're not educating our people.
I don't know if that's true, my brother.
No. For example, I just listened to Dave Ned. Dave Ned, the activist. And this guy was the most anti-referendum man, and he asking for a referendum now.
Oh, because these guys are clueless on what they call a constitution.
The other day they told me the governor have more power than the prime minister. I tell them the prime minister ruling from
no, I mean, come on. We had that discussion here a couple of times. They're clueless.
You could open their head and put it, they won't accept it.
But no, I mean,
these are intelligent people.
Hold on, we discussed this here before with Bernard. All right, I make it clear the prime minister have the power.
I don't need Bernard to tell me that.
No, but I'm saying that was said, and that was with the same.
Don't tell them activists in Grenada.
But John Hudson is correct, because this guy's still fundamentally.
They argue, and how are you telling them no, they won't?
If the prime minister have a bad day and he stump his toe, he can get up the next morning and fire the governor general.
Yes. I told them that. I tell them the governor.
Thank you very much. What is the government? The governor general does what? Serves at the prime minister's pleasure.
No, but there's another side to that, you know. Honestly, if a governor general decides to use the power the governor general has, they could shut down the country. So just don't decide no bills.
Yeah.
You could shut down the country.
But Toro,
if you get Bajan, who's the governor general?
Hold on, one at a time.
If you get Bajan, that's the governor general.
Hold on. But the prime minister could still fire the governor general.
Exactly.
In that same position, he could do it.
That's the thing.
He happened Gary.
If a governor general want to use their power, they could shut down the whole country.
There is something called.
But Toro, what Uncle say? You always quoting Uncle. Governors come and governors do.
Yeah, right.
Knew the law. Uncle knew the law. Prime Minister governs from the center in our Westminster democracy. Michel Jean had a chance to bring down Harper.
Yeah.
He's out Parliament. When he come back, he win. He kick out.
Boom. Right there.
In Canada here. She had him in Xi'an.
Yeah.
And she was put there by the Liberal Party. Was Jean Chrétien, I think, what he put her there?
Yeah. Yeah, but that
listen, yes, the prime minister could fire the governor general, but the prime minister had the right King Charles and say, I'm firing this woman.
Yeah, but
and suppose King Charles say, I refuse that. He can't
no. King Charles cannot refuse it.
Yes, he can.
No, he can't.
Because he's the head of state.
He's the head of state, Hudson.
He's the head of state.
What's wrong with you?
No, you know why he can't? You know why he can't?
Toro, under the Constitution, he cannot.
He can't because the prime minister,
the governor general serves exclusively
on the representatives of the Queen, of the King.
But the Prime Minister himself has to inform the thing that he filed. It doesn't happen so. He could trigger a constitutional crisis.
But the King
Charles
Charles
just tried to fire the Governor General because the
King
Governor
Charles
General
cannot
decided to execute
interfere in our internal affairs.
Huh?
When the Prime Minister say, okay, the Governor, the GG have to go, they have to go.
You know, not as easy.
I don't think the King could refuse the
How are you sure those guys that they don't believe?
No, if Prime Minister have the final say.
Yeah.
Just inform him. Just protocol. Yeah, just protocol. Hold on there. Just protocol to inform the King.
But you know, Grenada make history.
You know what?
In coming of King Charles.
Grenada
is the only country that make history.
Yeah.
Louis, the GG's Louis La Grenade great-great-grandchild. Louis La Grenade sell Grenada to and she was able to be there.
Hudson is one of his pet peeves again about the Lockheed family. Another of his pet peeves.
You know what? In Toronto, I went in a book luncheon by one.
No. Toro, I know exactly where he's going with that.
Yeah.
What's Toro?
Morris.
Yes.
Morris owe me reparations, you know. Morris Bishop owing me reparations, you know. I have to demonstrate on the street for that.
John, 10 day in the show. John.
Yeah, I think Hudson was never mentioned.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Wait.
Look at Hudson starting there. Please.
No, Morris owe you reparation, but you're still calling the 14th St. George's Fort George, though.
But the fort should be turned into a museum.
Well, hold on.
Like Madame Tussauds in England.
Okay. You know what?
So what should be the name?
The fort?
Yeah.
We should call it
Etienne, Fort Etienne.
Toro, he has no problem calling it Fort George. He has no problem.
No, because that's his name.
That's his family.
No. Is Radford mother was related to the Alexis? Not his father is the Etienne. Mother is the Alexis. Radford mother was connected to the Alexis.
What's the best?
Yeah, so Morris owing me right now on my money.
Yes, Hudson, you're bad.
I went in a book luncheon.
Hold on. We gotta go, Hudson. we gotta go. Ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank all of you for being here. Margaret, Toro, Delbert, and Hudson George. Thank you guys so much for being here. Looking forward to see you guys next week, Saturday evening.
Anyway, man, have a good night.
All right.
Yeah, man.
Good night, guys.
You didn't know what is Alexis doing.
And for those of you in Toronto.
They're my grandpa people. Alexis.
Oh, God. That's good.
All right, gentlemen.
All right, bye.
Bye, guys.
Support Group Canada cordially invites you to a gala event with the Prime Minister of Grenada, Carriacou and Piti Martinique, the Honorable Deacon Mitchell, Saturday, July 1st at Bellevue Manor, 8083 Jane Street in Concord, Ontario, with cocktails from 6 p.m. and dinner at 7:30, featuring live entertainment, delegation speakers, and more. Ticket donation is $250. Proceeds go to the establishment of a party resource center in Grenada. Tickets are limited. The Honorable Deacon Mitchell, Saturday, July 1st at Bellevue Manor, 8083 Jane Street in Concord. For tickets and information, please call 647-859-4142 or 647-242-9256.
Was achieving them, or do we want a society where we get up and say whatever happens happens? That is ultimately the test that we must pass. A society does not improve by chance. You don't become wealthy by chance.
We have the best picture and we like it. Young, intelligent, full of vibes. The best picture and we like it. Deacon Mitchell won't tell you no lie. We have the best picture and we like it. Young, intelligent, full of vibes. The best picture and we like it. Deacon Mitchell won't tell you no lies. Oh gosh, Deacon intelligent, wow, he's so magnificent. Oh gosh, the people he represent, yes, and he will not relent. Oh gosh, the country about heart, not an opinion, that is a fact. With Deacon, the future real bright. Go vote, go vote, go vote, go vote. We vote in the heart, the heart, the heart, the heart. Go vote, go vote, go vote, go vote. All right. Stick it right by the heart. We have the best picture and we like it. Young, intelligent, full of vibes. The best picture and we like it. Deacon Mitchell won't tell you no lie. We have the best picture and we like it. Young, intelligent, full of vibes. The best picture and we like it. Deacon Mitchell won't tell you no lies. Voting Deacon for Prime Minister, oh, for a prosperous Grenada. Let's travel this path together, oh. With Deacon on our side, the future real bright. Go vote, go vote, go vote, go vote. We vote in the heart, the heart, the heart, the heart. Go vote, go vote, go vote, go vote. All right, stick it right by the heart. We have the best picture and we like it. Young, intelligent, full of vibes. The best picture and we like it. Deacon Mitchell won't tell you no lie. We have the best picture and we like it. Young, intelligent, full of vibes. The best picture and we like it. Deacon Mitchell won't tell you no lies. We have a charismatic young leader. Carving a bright future is the mantra. Our sweet country going through hell. The captain to steady ship is Deacon Mitchell. Go vote, go vote, go vote, go vote. We vote in the heart, the heart, the heart, the heart. Go vote, go vote, go vote, go vote. All right, stick it right by the heart. We have the best picture and we like it. Young, intelligent, full of vibes. The best picture and we like it. Deacon Mitchell won't tell you no lie. We have the best picture and we like it.
And we have the power. We, the citizens of Grenada, have that power. And so I repeat, take part in the political process. If you want to change the narrative of the political process, if you want to move it from being destructive and negative and in the gutter, take part. If that's not what you stand for, take part and change the narrative, change the culture, so that we can ultimately change our society.
Grenadians and Friends of Grenada, the National Democratic Congress Support Group Canada cordially invites you to a gala event with the Prime Minister of Grenada, Carriacou and Petite Martinique, the Honorable Deacon Mitchell, Saturday, July 1st at Bellevue Manor, 8083 Jane Street in Concord, Ontario, with cocktails from 6 p.m. and dinner at 7:30, featuring live entertainment, delegation speakers, and more. Ticket donation is $250. Proceeds go to the establishment of a party resource center in Grenada. Tickets are limited. The Honorable Deacon Mitchell, Saturday, July 1st at Bellevue Manor, 8083 Jane Street in Concord. For tickets and information, please call 647-859-4142 or 647-242-9256.
We are Grenadians. are you? Like a smile when everything dies. Grenadians make you.
I say we tired. Oh Lord, people tired. We want a change, we tired. Oh, yo. I say we tired and we tired and we tired and we tired and we can't take it again. Fresh. Come on, we tired and we tired and we tired and we tired and we can't take it again. So we moving forward, forward, forward. Move the country forward, forward, forward. With NDC forward, forward, forward. Oh, we going forward, forward, forward. Too long. It's lies and mama guys. Too long. Empty promises in my eyes. Too long. You're ignoring the people cries. Too long. All your days since 1995 and you don't do nothing. Only when election time coming, that's when poor people does get something. From all that bitch and passport you selling, them actions they telling. All you feel that grenade and begging. It's time to call off the wedding. We don't need that this time, it ain't working. Because we tired and we tired and we tired and we tired and we can't take it again. Poor people tired and they tired and they tired and they tired and they can't take it again. The youths them tired and they tired and they tired and they tired and they can't take it again. Canadians tired and they tired and they tired and they tired and they can't take it again. So we're moving forward, forward, forward. Move the country forward, forward, forward. With NDC forward, forward, forward. Oh, we going forward, forward, forward. Time for all you to rest. We want a team that is young and fresh. We want to bring out the best, so it's time for all you to press. Pension have to restore, public sovereignty prominent. Agriculture go grow, Carrico go get government. Local and the deacon in south, caring and great in the west, and all up in the north. So where we going from here? Andy Williams will move forward, forward, forward. Jonathan Lackett will move forward, forward, forward. Kevin Andrews will move us forward, forward, forward. Lennox Andrews will move us forward, forward, forward. Deacon Mitchell will move us forward, forward, forward. Brother Joseph will move us forward, forward, forward. Karen James will move us forward, forward, forward. Quincy Britton will move us forward, forward, forward. Joseph Andal will move us forward, forward. You tired? Poor people tired and they tired and they tired and they tired and they can't take it again. The youths them tired and they tired and they tired and they tired and they can't take it again. Canadians tired and they tired and they tired and they tired and they can't take it again. So we're moving forward, forward, forward. Move the country forward, forward, forward. With NDC forward, forward, forward. Oh, we going forward, forward, forward. Hear me now, NDC eyes. Let me see you show me the yellow, show me the yellow, show me the yellow, show me the yellow. Are we voting for Laco? Voting for Laco. We voting for Laco, Laco, Laco. I say we voting for Laco, Laco, Laco. Forward we moving, from Perseverance to Cherry Hill. Forward we moving, Grenville to New Hampshire. Forward we moving, Granton Laco go make the place better. Forward we moving. Laco, a young man with a plan to make things better. The choice is clear. Dr. Kid, 40 years you dead. Representing the area, almost nothing to show. The people tired and fed up, and they voting no for Laco. We voting for Laco, Laco, Laco. I say we voting for Laco, Laco, Laco. Forward we moving, from Perseverance to Cherry Hill. Forward we moving, Grenville to New Hampshire. Forward we moving, Granton Laco go make the place better. Forward we moving. Inclusive inclusive transformation. Agendas change, building human and social development for the people. First time there will be a vision and roadmap for the Northwest for empowerment and collaboration. Lapo is the right man. We voting for Lapo, Lapo, Lapo. I say we voting for Lapo, Lapo, Lapo. Forward we moving from Perseverance to Cherry Hill. Forward we moving Grenville to New Hampshire. Forward we moving and Lapo make the place better. Forward we moving. Adaptable to change, building stronger relationships and connections. Forward we moving, cultivate resilience. Forward we moving, improve constituency. Forward we moving, the choice is clear. Forward we moving, Lapo will be there. We voting for Lapo, Lapo, Lapo. I say we voting for Lapo, Lapo, Lapo. From Perseverance to Cherry Hill, Grenville to New Hampshire. Canton Lapo go make the place better.
Mitchell versus Mitchell, and that will be a big duel. So I carried out a survey, and this is what the people say. Aye, 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 aye. I travel from Maran right up to Lauriston. Is one conclusion: Deacon is the man. I travel from Marian right up to Union. They're singing one song: Deacon is the man. The man with the clear vision, the man with the master plan, the man with the solution. Deacon is the man. The man with the clear vision, the man with the master plan, the man with the solution. Deacon is the man. This is big competition for the upcoming election. Experience versus young blood. The people's voices must be heard. Aye, 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 aye. I travel from Top Hill right up to Liberal Hill. Is one conclusion: Deacon is the man. I travel from Leicester right up to Belvedere. They sing in one song: Deacon is the man. The man with the clear vision, the man with the master plan, the man with the solution. Deacon is the man. The man with the clear vision, the man with the master plan, the man with the solution. Deacon is the man. Every man can click on fever. They say forget but save my hands. The island need transformation. Aye, 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 aye. I get cut from London, Montreal, Washington. Is one conclusion: Deacon is the man. And every Grenadian throughout the Caribbean, they sing in one song: Deacon is the man. The man with the clear vision, the man with the master plan, the man with the solution. Deacon is the man. The man with the clear vision, the man with the master plan, the man with the solution. Deacon is the man.
Yes. Well, folks, that's where we actually come to the end of this show tonight. The time is now 11:59. The gospel hour begins from here on in. So please go on yourself accordingly. Again, thank all of you for listening and staying tuned. Join us next Saturday morning for Caribbean Connections, by which time we have Miss Tracy Grant Lewis, the TG. Yes, we'll be back. We'll be right here with us. I think is this. Yeah, she'll be back here with us on the second Saturday in June. Yes, second, third, and fourth Saturday. They will be back here consecutively like that. So Tracy Grant Lewis will be on here with us. So look out for the information flyer on that. And again, join us on Monday evening. Pastor Liam Bogo Cornwall will be here Monday evening, right here. On Monday morning from 8 until 10 o'clock every morning, Tex Warren will be on here doing her thing. 8 until 10, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Pastor Daphne with Community Dateline be happening. The second Mondays of each month, the men from Trinidad, Men of Vision Evangelize will be on here Monday, every second Monday until the fourth Monday with Men of Vision Evangelize. Wednesday night, Tex Manorin, Heart to Heart, talking about domestic violence, mental illness, and men hurt twice more than women. That will be the subject of the topic of discussion every Wednesday night, talking about domestic violence and all the little things that goes across that. And don't forget Tuesday nights, yours truly, John Callis, and Pastor Reverend Joan Walker, Veronica Irvin, and Doris Morin, and the other Tex Manorin will be talking intimacy in marriage. So that will be another interesting conversation to have here, right here on Gem FM Tuesday night. So don't want to miss those shows. Very, very informative shows. I encourage you to bring somebody with you next time. And if you want to join the conversation, let us know. Our email is gemfm.ca@gmail.com or genesismagazine@rogers.com. Again, this show is brought to you by Others Kitchen, 477 Oakwood Avenue in Toronto. Tomorrow morning, 10 until 2 is brunch. Bring your family at Others Kitchen. Those of you in Toronto, Barrie, Ajax, Whitby, bring them down. Let's have fun together. Come for the food and stay for the fellowship tomorrow at 477 Oakwood Avenue, 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. Brunch, good stuff. Fry bakes, roast bakes, fried saltfish, cow food sauce, and just name it, they have it. All right, chicken, rice and peas and stuff. Brunch tomorrow at Others Kitchen. Come on, meet me. I'll be there. All right, looking to see you. God bless and have a wonderful night, everybody. One love, one heart, one destiny. It's this Gem FM, and we're going to get over. Yes, I'm out of here, folks.